This is part 3 of the Momexa Sewalong, and we're going to construct the exterior today. So we're not starting quite yet, we're just going to start a few minutes early so that we can check that everything's working okay and that the audio is okay. So if you're watching this later, you can just skip the next like 4 minutes and jump ahead. But if you are now connected, just let us know where you're from, let us know if you've got any questions that you want us to cover during this sew-along. If you're just joining us now and you've missed the first 2 sessions, you can catch up on my YouTube channel, the Country Cow Designs YouTube channel, or you can just jump in and start sewing with us. The only thing you need to join in the sew-along is the pattern, which you can get from countrycowdesigns.com. So last week we did the cutting out and the interfacing, and the week before that was preparation. Today we're just going to make the exterior of the bag, and next week will be the final week of the sew-along, and that will be the lining and then finishing off the bag. So hopefully you can all hear me okay. If somebody could just comment, let me know, that'd be awesome. And when you're commenting during the video, just bear in mind that it takes 10 seconds for you to see what I've said. So it will take me a little while to see your questions pop up. But just go ahead and ask any questions that you've got and we'll try and answer as we go. So I'm Jo of Country Cow Designs, and this is my twin, Debbie.
Hi.
So this is Debbie's second bag ever, and she's going to be doing all the sewing. So hopefully this should be really beginner friendly because we'll be covering things as they crop up. Like Debbie will be asking questions as she goes, and if you've got any questions you can ask us as well, and hopefully it'll go really well. So I'm a little bit nervous, so if it's your first bag and you're nervous, don't worry, so are we. So we've got loads of people on. Hi everyone. So we've got people from Canada and America, all over America. Oh, California sounds nice. I imagine it's quite early over there. Oh, France, hiya.
Is it bonsoir?
Bonsoir?
That's good evening, isn't it?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember any of my French from school. So we've got people from all over. So we're going to get started in like 2 minutes time. So if you need a cup of tea, go grab one now. If you need a loo, now's your chance.
Or a glass of wine.
Maybe. It's 5 p.m. here. That's fine for us. Hi everybody. So many people from so many different places. It's really nice to see. So we're in the UK, down in Cornwall, which is like the top holiday destination of the UK right now, it seems. So we're like in the evening right now, which is quite nice. So I think for you guys in America, it's probably early morning. Europe might be a little bit further ahead from us. I'm not sure because we're in summertime at the moment. I don't know how that affects it. But this part of the sew-along, hopefully, is going to be less than 2 hours. That's what we're going for. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You know, when you're bag making, sometimes stuff crops up. So we'll just see how it goes, and we'll work it out as we go. It is bonsoir. Well done, Debs.
Hey.
Debbie remembers her schooling. Okay, so we're almost at 5 o'clock. I'm just waiting for any last ones to join. There we go. Okay, it's 5 o'clock now. Okay, so we're going to start with the strap because we're following the pattern. So if you're sewing with us right now, grab your pattern, get it on another screen. I've got mine over here on an iPad. And we're going to start from page 5. And we're going to start with the straps because it's always a good idea to do your straps first. If you leave it till last, you'll just regret it. And also, this way, anybody who joins late, they've just missed the straps. So, okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to start with step 1. You're going to need your strap connectors, piece F. You're going to need your 2 crossbody tabs, which is piece G. And you're going to need your crossbody strap, which is piece E. In addition to that, you're going to need your 2 rectangle rings in a minute. So if you're doing a cotton or canvas strap like us and you need to have a join in it, then we're going to show you how to do that because we didn't have a wide enough piece of fabric, so we're doing a join in ours. If you're using cork or vinyl, it's best generally, like we discussed last week, to cut it out in one go if you can, because it can get a bit bulky where it joins, so that's the safest way to go. So if you've got cotton or canvas, you just want to place your pieces right sides together. Now, if you've got a directional fabric like we have, you don't kind of want your seahorses changing direction halfway along the strap. So bear that in mind. So what we want to do is place these right sides together at a 90-degree angle. Now we're going to sew it like this. So what I'm going to do is just check, and when I look, my seahorses are the right way up, so I know I've got it the right way. So I'll just clip these together. So you just want to line that up nice and neat on those edges. Okay, and grab a pen. I'm using an erasable pen, but we are drawing on the wrong side of the fabric, so I guess it doesn't really matter what pen you use. And what we want to do is join from this, we want to draw a line joining from this corner to this one. So I'm just going to mark that so I can see it. Okay, so once you've got your line drawn like this, we're going to sew across this. So I'm going to use about a 2.5mm stitch length to do this, and make sure you backstitch really well at the beginning and the end. So Debbie's going to do that for us. If you turn the machine on. Turn your machine on, that's a good place to start.
Is it
Oh,
on this
sorry.
side? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that, do I turn it both?
No, just the one. Yeah, you're good.
It's the back stitch I usually forget to do.
So, hopefully this works. My husband has set up our streaming so that we can change over to the sewing machine. Nope, that didn't work. Hang on. There we go. Okay.
Okay, I'm a proper beginner as well, so you have to forgive my stupid questions. That's your back stitch, isn't it?
Yep, so just make sure that you backstitch nice and thoroughly at the beginning and end. Have you got it on like 2.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
When you say this is my second bag ever, before that I've only ever made about 3 cushions.
Yeah, so Debbie's
I'm really-
sewn like 3 cushions and 1 bag. So
I am a
sewing is
beginner.
pretty new. Yeah. So just remember to backstitch when you get to the end. Okay. Okay, back to this. Hopefully I'm going to be able to work out this camera system quite easily, so we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, so once you've sewn that, I like to trim my thread tails, just
Which
keep them all out of the way. Yeah, I don't know where you learnt to sew, Debs. Not that I
never
really
did.
learnt to sew, I just taught myself. But yeah, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to trim this down. So where we've sewn, we just want about 1/2 inch or thereabouts seam allowance. So just trim that down. And then Debs, can you just turn the iron on for me? Okay, so this is how your strap's looking. And now what you need to do is open that up, and you just want to press that seam open. So if you're using, cotton or canvas like this, then you can just press this with an iron. It will just make it sit nice and flat. So I'll just give that to Debbie. Sorry, we haven't got a camera for the iron. Couldn't quite work it out like that. So, what are we going to do next? Right, we're going to draw down the centre. Okay, now one thing I should point out is that I totally just strayed from the pattern and started with the strap rather than the strap connectors. So we're going to come back round to that. Hi everyone. Okay, so we've got some more. We've got some Bangladesh and India. That's really nice. We've got a few people from India. Hi everyone. I have no idea what time zone you're in over there, but but I bet it's nice. British Columbia. Ooh, very nice. That is in Canada, isn't it? Canada's all I don't know, I just have this view of Canada of it being like these amazing national parks, incredible places. Okay, so what we're going to do next, now that you have got that pressed open, you are going to fold these short ends over just by about 1/4 inch, like that, and then just give that a good press. Sorry, Debs, I should have said to leave the iron on for a bit.
That's fine.
We're going to be going back and forth to the iron. So you just want to fold those short ends over and give them a press. So if you're using cork vinyl, leather, something like that, that you don't mind having the raw edges, or you're going to use like strap ends on it, then you can go ahead and just leave those edges raw and it'll be fine. You don't need to fold it over. Only do that if you're using cotton or canvas. That's only necessary. Okay, so what you should now have is your two ends folded over. Now when you're making your crossbody strap, don't stress about everything being exact, like exactly 1/4 inch, because it's not really going to make a difference in the big scheme of things. The one part that I do find makes a difference is this, where we're folding it, that you need to make sure that it's all nice and central. So what you're going to do is draw a line right down the centre of the whole length. So it's going to be 2 inches in, because this is 4 inches wide.
If I cut it right.
Yeah, if you cut it right. Again, I'm using my erasable fabric pen, which is a friction pen, but you could use tailor's chalk, or technically you could use a normal pen, I suppose, because we're doing it on the wrong side of the fabric, so that would probably be okay. So long as it's not like a thin fabric. Oh, sorry, Debs, it's not perfect where my join is. Close enough. All right. So once you've got your line down the whole of the centre, you're going to fold the 2 long edges into that centre line. So along the whole length, you're going to fold it into that centre line, and this is where you kind of want to get it right. You want to get it nice and neat because it'll help in a minute. And just press that with the iron all the way down. So if you could do that, thanks. So if you're using cork or vinyl or something like that, you could just use double-sided tape. That's my preferred method for holding it in place. Or you could use like Fabri-Tac glue. If you're using something like glue or tape, just make sure that your needle can sew through it, because some of them go up your needle. So just make sure you've got the right one. Now, if anyone's got any questions as we go, just go ahead and throw them at me. Hopefully I'll be able to answer. We'll see. So Debbie's just going to press that in for us. Don't worry, Debs, you don't have to rush. You can take your time. So what I'll do while Debbie's doing that, because I don't want you to just watch me sitting here, you might get a little bit bored. And I get the impression a lot of you aren't sewing with us right now. Are you? I'm not sure. I get the impression most people are just watching and going to sew later. So your strap connector, you're going to do pretty much the same thing as we've done with the strap. So I'm just going to draw a line down the centre of this while I'm waiting for Debbie. Okay, and just bear in mind that this one is 1.5 inches wide, so your line is going to be 3/4 inch in. Okay, so that one is ready. If you're using vinyl, do you still fold in the edges? Yes, you do. So you're gonna do everything the same, except for those short ends. You don't need to fold the short ends in if you're using vinyl, because you can just leave it raw. Especially if you're using like a hardware strap end, which I'll show you. Okay, so if you're using like one of these hardware strap ends that goes on the end, and you're using vinyl, then you can definitely don't fold over the short edges, just leave them raw. Otherwise it gets really, really thick, and it's really not pleasant to sew. Ta-da! Ta-da! Okay, I know everyone's wishing that they had a Debbie with the So once you've got that, it's pressed into the centre. What you're going to do is fold it again on that centre line. Now you can press this if you want, but I'm just going to clip it into place. And you'd be doing this, whether you're using vinyl or cork or fabric, And you just want to make sure that it matches up nice and neat there. And this is where, if you haven't folded it centrally, it will be a bit difficult. So you just want to make sure that these edges are nice and neatly meeting together. So I could press this with the iron, but the clips will hold it in place, and I would clip it either way. So right, let's just get that. So I'm almost there with my end.
I'm not, so
Oh, sorry, do you want more clips? There you go. This is where lots of wonder clips come in handy. Okay. Ah, Diana is sewing along, and so is Hazel. Okay, that's really good to know. Okay, I won't jump ahead. Okay, so I just spend a moment like making sure that these edges are looking neat. So that will be your strap all clipped together. Do you want some more?
Well,
there's a couple more there.
Oh, go on then.
Oh, so something that I like to do when I'm clipping, I've just realised because Debbie's not doing it, that it must be something that doesn't come not naturally. I put all of my clips the same way up so that when I'm sewing they're all upright, because the top is a bit curved whereas the bottom of the clip is flat. So I like to have the flat edge, don't you? You don't have to change them.
So we'll quickly turn my clips over.
So the flat edge I like to have on my machine bed. If the curved edge is, if the curved edge is like on the bottom,
okay,
then I just find that it doesn't move quite so smoothly through my machine. It's like a really subtle thing, but I find that helps. Okay. Yes, Debbie is my sister, Linda. She's my twin.
Yeah, we are identical.
Okay, so I love this, Helena. I'm trying to sew along, but I have a cat helper. We had to shut ours out because she was not being helpful. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to sew the strap. So I'm going to use, well, Debbie's going to use an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down this open side first. So I generally start like in the corner and a back stitch, and then I come down this open side, removing the clips as you go. So this first side takes a little while. Then when you get to the end, make sure that you leave your needle in when you get to the corners and lift up your presser foot, pivot it, and then you sew across the bottom and back up the other side. So hopefully you'll be able to see this on the machine. So you've got a nice, like, slightly contrasting thread, so hopefully it'll be quite clear.
Quite clear the mistakes that I make.
So let me just change over to, okay, I'm hoping that you guys can see clearly through that.
So an 1/8, I've got that right, haven't I? Got it, I want to line up here and...
Yes, so that's like the little line, yeah, the little... Oh, and you want to put it on a nice long seam allowance for straps, so I would go for like maybe 3.5, because I want it to have strength still, but also I feel like I'm top stitching and I want it to like look really nice, so I generally go for about 3.5.
Okay.
And don't forget to backstitch.
Yes, I would have forgotten that.
I know, I only say it because when you're starting out you do forget. So I feel like I'm going to have to move this camera a little bit. Oh, sorry. I feel like I've just lost the camera. You're going to have to bear with me a second there. Oh dear, I've just caused a disaster, Debs. We've totally lost the camera. Bear with me. Oh, that's okay. You can keep sewing if you want to. I just, yeah, it's a total disaster. There we go. Hopefully that's back.
Technology.
Yeah, I'm not the best with technology. Adam sort of sets this all up, and he's like, yeah, it's, you know, it's so easy. It's not. Oh, it's really not. Oh, there we go. Right, okay. Here we go. Boom. Okay, so hopefully you can see she's got an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance just coming down here.
Hopefully I have.
Yep. Yeah, it's looking really neat so far.
I mean, I'm real beginner at sewing, so
yeah.
I have high hopes.
What brand of double-sided tape do I recommend? So Rhonda says, I have a wash away one, but is there another one that's not so expensive and doesn't gum up my machine? Okay, so for my double-sided tape, I use one that I get from Amazon. I'll put the link in the description afterwards, but it's called Fepito. It's spelt F-E-P-I-T-O, and it comes in packs of 6 or 12 rolls, and I've been using that, and it works great with my needles. I'm not going to say it works great with every needle, because I don't know if maybe there's some brands that don't work as well, or I don't know. It doesn't necessarily advertise itself as like special sewing tape, but it just works amazing. I've not had any problems with it, so that's the one I recommend. Oh, Heather says about my other crossbody strap method. Yes, one side cork, one side fabric. So I've actually got a separate YouTube video just for that strap, which I really like because it doesn't have any like raw edges or anything like that in it. It's a really nice way of doing it. But because this one, with like the Momexa pattern has this strap in it, I figured I should stick to this one. But I do have a separate video on doing a crossbody strap without any raw edges, and I really like the technique, so yeah, you can check that out on my YouTube channel. So when you're doing the crossbody strap, you'll notice that the first side takes you a little while because you're having to like remove the clips as you go and sort of adjust it as you go. It definitely takes longer. If you need to adjust at any point, you can just put your needle into the fabric before you adjust the fabric, like move the strap around, because that means that then you don't get any wobbly stitches. If you try and like maneuver things with the needle up, then you'll quickly get yourself some wobbly stitching. Hi Margaret, thanks for joining us.
I left the light kind on.
Yeah, that's okay. It'll turn itself off once it's bleeped at you. Sorry, that's just my iron going off.
This feels like a very long strap.
Yeah, crossbody straps always feel really long, don't they? Like they're going on forever. Hi Wendy, thanks for joining us. So if you're joining us, you haven't missed much because we're doing the strap. We're starting with the crossbody strap, so that if anybody's joining late, you haven't missed anything, because, you know, it's the strap. And I do really like doing mine first, because as soon as I've finished top stitching a bag, I want to sort of like try it out and check it out, and so I always do the strap first, so I don't have that moment where you finish the bag and then you're dreading the strap and the bag sits there without a strap for like a month. Hi Evelyn in Florida. Bet it's lovely there right now, nice and hot. Although I say that, we've actually got the sun out for a change. Okay, so yeah, when you get to these corners, make sure that you leave your needle in, yep, and then lift up the presser foot and pivot around the corner. Make sure that you always leave your needle in when you're pivoting.
Makes me think of the Friends reunion.
I know. Why, do they cover that?
Yeah.
I am just thinking of that Friends episode now. Pivot.
Pivot.
Hi Nina from Finland. Lots of Europe on tonight, which is really nice. Because it's the evening for you guys, isn't it? Same as us.
Oh.
Oh, you're getting brave, Debs.
It's a bit easier on this side, isn't
It's
it?
much easier on this side, yeah. So you'll notice that I always use my standard presser foot. Me and my walking foot, we don't get on very well. But if you're using like a vinyl material or something, or maybe cork, you might find that when you're sewing a strap with these 4 layers that you need to use a walking foot or a Teflon foot, or even some people put like tissue paper down so that the vinyl or whatever doesn't stick to like this flatbed part of your machine. It depends really on the material that you're using. So if you're using a material that you've never used before, like you bought some new vinyl, you've never used it before, I would like fold up a piece into 4 pieces and just sew it just like a scrap piece, you know, like a little piece, an offcut, and just try sewing it and see how it goes through your machine. See if you need to use a different presser foot, see if you need to like, yeah, put some tissue paper down or to stop it sticking, anything like that. Because if you just cut out your strap and start on your strap and it turns out it's like a really sticky vinyl, you're gonna hate it. I like that. This time I'm not going ahead of the project. Oh, we've got somebody from the Netherlands as well. So,
oh gosh, we should know what hello that
we really should. Our grandmother's Dutch, so we feel like we've got a little bit of Dutch in the family. Hi from Kent, hi from Wales. Oh, we've got people from all over. It's really nice. Okay, we're getting to the end of the strap now. Yay! So if you had a strap that didn't need a join, you might already be done and you're waiting for us.
Sorry, I'm not very fast.
No, I think you're going at a really nice speed, especially because if there's any other beginners on or first-time bag makers, this is a nice speed.
I'm with you.
Don't forget to backstitch when you finish.
Okay, yes, every single time. Oh, maybe I went a bit too far there. Can I go?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're going to backstitch. Oh, okay.
I was going to go around the corner, just, yeah.
Fair enough, yep. So the other thing about when you're using new material, doing a scrap piece before you jump into like your strap, is that your tension might need changing. So sometimes I need to increase the tension if I'm going through really thick material. So I always recommend, if it's the first time using a particular fabric or, you know, vinyl or anything like that, test it before you start your strap, because you don't want to kind of ruin this whole stretch of material.
Oh, it's very satisfying.
It is satisfying, isn't it? So the next option, if you want to, you can run a couple more lines of stitching down the centre. It kind of gives a nice little effect. It's up to you whether you want to do it. You're sewing.
Does it make it stronger, or is it?
It always, no, I don't think it actually does. It makes it feel like it is, but I don't think it does.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, you like that? Okay. Yeah, it's basically because otherwise we'd be sewing through the seahorses' heads.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Right, we're going to set the strap aside and move on to the next section. So I've got my iPad because I'm trying to make sure that I go along with the pattern and not just like going off on a tangent, which I've already done. So let's go back to the strap connector. So you've got piece F. Now you need to draw a line down the centre of this. Oh, and can you grab me some double-sided tape, Deb, from the bottom of those drawers? So if you're using cotton or canvas, you can fold the 2 long edges into the centre like we did with the strap and just press that with an iron. But we're using cork for this bit, so we're going to use some double-sided tape instead. Thanks, that's perfect. So I'm going to run the double-sided tape along the edge, and if you didn't catch it earlier, just make sure it's double-sided tape that you can sew through. If not, you could use like Fabri-Tac glue or something like that. Anything that you're able to sew through without your needle gumming up. And you'll know if it's gumming up your needle because your stitching will be really messy because basically your needle gets like stuck in the sellotape. So then you'll know that it's no good. So this stuff is really good. I love it. Okay, so I'm just going to fold these long edges into that centre line. So I'll just check on the questions. Ah, she is doing a great job for a beginner. Thanks, Nicole. Yes, she's really good for a beginner. So Debbie's done 3 cushions and a bag in the past. So,
hay in Sweden. The only thing I know in Swedish is tack för glassen, I think, which is thanks for ice cream.
Of course.
From when I went to Sweden.
Just the essentials.
Yep, important.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there we go. That actually came off quite easy. Normally you can like fight with double-sided tape. You'll notice in some of my video tutorials I had to like cut it out because I was just fighting with the end of the double-sided tape for so long. So just fold this long edge in to meet the other edge. Ooh, sorry, I'm going all over the place.
It's really satisfying actually, like seeing the strap come together already.
What, because you feel like you've already achieved something? Like,
yeah, I can see why
the
bag
bag.
making is addictive, because it's, yeah, like, yes, look at what I just made.
Debbie made one bag and then I found her like cutting out fabrics for another one, like getting ready. I was like, oh, it's so addictive.
I've got my Toulage 2 cut out already, waiting to be made.
It's easier because I've got all the supplies, so you can just come in and grab them.
It is, just finding the time.
Yes, time is the issue. Okay, so now that we have done that, what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch both edges. But we're going to top stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance because later on we're going to sew it on with 1/8 of an inch. So you don't want to be sewing over the same stuff, it will make it look messy. So 1/4 inch seam allowance and put it on a nice long stitch length, maybe 3.5 again, same as we did for the strap.
So I'm going the whole way down?
Yes, so do you want to use white thread? Because the blue will like really stand out on here.
Won't it be cool because it'll be like contrasting? Or?
It will be cool, but it's going to be, when you come to sew the rings on,
Which part? The black was across the centre, yeah.
yeah, so it'll be this bit. So this bit is, it's not like really hard, but you know, if you get some stitches out and they're blue, it might look a bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's
just because you know, starting out.
Okay,
I love
so
matching threads when I'm starting out, when I'm doing a bag I'm not confident on, or when I was starting out, just to make it look really neat. Okay, so you just need it to come out
so I can't
that way.
fully remember how to.
So you've got to go up the back.
This is how little sewing I've
and then
done.
Through this one, and then through the little one. So I know a lot of people just use the same thread all the way through, but I don't know. I really like to have matching threads for certain things. So
does it go around?
We're gonna go for it.
Oh, round that side.
Yeah, round that side.
And then through the needle.
Yeah. So at the moment we're just working with a size. I think it's a size 80 needle that I've got in.
Actually, this is.
Right, I'll just get that in there. I know I was having great trouble threading the needle yesterday, and I was starting to worry that now that I'm in my 30s that I can't
Go down and just pull back up.
Yeah, I was like, I already can't thread a needle.
I'm just. No, it's not coming.
So you might need to. Have you got it out?
No.
Oh, did you lose the top one? Hang on. You might need to turn it a little bit more. There you go. Let's release it. Okay, go back down. Bit more up. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh, I've got the bottom. Okay. So I'm not going to say how to thread your machine because they're all different. Oh yeah, I like that, Amanda. You're about to ask what colour thread to use. But yeah, I would recommend for this bit using matching thread. It'll be easier later on. Okay, so we're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You've got it on 3.5.
I've got that on 3.5.
Okay,
and then
3.5 stitch length.
1/4.
So the 1/4 is the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to line up with the edge of the foot.
I need to backstitch that again.
One more from Sweden, sitting outside in great sunny weather.
Oh.
We've got really nice weather as well.
Am I backstitching?
Yes, backstitch, yeah. We really wanted to go to the beach today, but it feels like the whole of Britain is on holiday here, so we decided not to. And we just sat in the garden, but it's really nice weather in Britain right now. Or here it is anyway. Oh, sorry, I need to switch. There we go. Okay. Okay, so you're using 1/4 inch seam allowance, remember?
No, do you know what? My threads come out.
Oh, your threads come out. Okay, that's frustrating. It's just up here. So you just want to, from my experience, you want to rethread the whole thing because.
No. You mean all this?
No.
Okay.
Just take the whole thing out and rethread it because I have had problems in the past when I realise that something's come slightly out. So don't just like put it straight back in the needle. Just take the whole lot out. and start again.
Okay.
Okay, bear with us. We've got a broken
So this
thread,
will go
so I'm
here,
assuming. Yep, that's right.
just straight through
I'm
there.
assuming that we must have got it threaded wrong.
What do I do with this bit?
So you just want to come down through this bit.
Just on
There
the
you
left.
go.
It doesn't go around there.
No. And then it goes underneath that. And then up
back here.
over that one, yeah.
Yeah, and then through there. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, I think we've got, we must have it must have been threaded not quite right. So the bit that gets you is making sure it's not tangled as it goes through the needle. Sometimes it like wraps itself around the needle.
Yeah, I have done that before, but I didn't think it was this time. Okay.
Technical issues. Really nice in Perth as well, Scotland, not Australia. I was going to say, which Perth is that? Because Perth in Australia is always nice. Or I get the impression it is. Oh, Katerina is in Greece. Oh, a little bit jealous. I bet it's gorgeous there. Do you want some help threading the needle, Debs?
Hang on. This is the easy part.
No, it's not. The other day I sewed like a whole strap in this really cool new vinyl that I was trying out. And it was just loopy. It was just loops galore underneath. And I didn't realise until I got to the very end. Oh, I was so gutted. And it was just because I threaded the needle wrong. I'd got my tension right, I'd practiced on my scrap, everything was ready to go. And then it turned out that it was wrong. And do you want some help with this? Deb?
Yeah. I've been staring at a computer screen too long today.
I literally couldn't get it in yesterday, so I started to panic. I thought, well, what do you do if you can't get it in?
It's just like...
You know what's going to happen now is our bobbin's going to run out because it was a little bit low anyway. But right, let's just stay. Okay, that's good. You stay.
Right.
Stay.
Sorry,
Okay.
back on track.
So just backstitch where you got to, just like backstitch there, and then carry on from there.
Sorry, everybody.
Joe, does Debbie know to lift the foot when threading to release the tension?
I'm not 100% sure whether I did or not.
Was your foot up? I'm not sure. I don't remember, but that is a good point. Okay, we're back to.
I need to remember that from now on, though. Oh.
Do you want to just stop and stick your needle in? And I'll just check. Yeah, okay, it's all looking good now. Okay, you're good to go. Yeah, I would nowadays recommend that you consider like checking your strap when you're like 2 inches in, because of what happened to me yesterday when I was sewing this strap, and I did the whole thing before I realised that I had a problem. Joe, who taught me to sew? YouTube. I just yeah, basically YouTube. My grandmother gave me this machine and she said to me, make sure that you change your needles regularly, make sure you always use the right needle, and other than that I have just kind of learnt from the internet.
Our grandmother is amazing though, isn't she?
Yeah, our grandmother is incredible at sewing. She just sews the most amazing stuff.
And she used to teach, didn't she, I think, sewing classes and things, so...
And she does a lot of like really intricate hand sewing as well. It's amazing. Yeah, I think that might be, I think Mandy might be right. That might be what happened, that the tension wasn't right as we did it.
Okay.
And that's what made the thread snap.
So just sort of, I'm only going to want to do about 1 stitch.
Yeah, so when you get to the end, you can just, you know, pivot and do a couple of stitches. Okay, so we're just sewing this with 1/4 inch. Ah, thanks, Angela. I've been working on my YouTube videos with the help of my husband, who is very picky about videos. So he's been helping me improve the lighting and the microphones and the positioning of the cameras and all that sort of thing. So I'm getting there with it. Although I think we could have done better with this angle on the sewing machine. But there you go. Okay, so hopefully anybody that was a little bit behind has caught up now, because we've had that little issue.
Got a bit cocky there.
Got a bit overconfident, did you?
Yeah.
Don't forget to backstitch at the end.
Okie doke.
Okay, so we're on to the next bit. Once you've got that strap connector all sewn up, you want to grab your crossbody tabs. So this is pattern piece G. Okay, so you should have 2 of these. They're quite small. And we're going to do same thing again. So all the straps are very similar. If I can find my ruler, there it is. And we're going to draw a line down the centre again. So we're doing this along the long length. Okay, have we got the double-sided tape? Where did it go? Where did the double-sided tape go?
Good question. You had it last.
Yeah, you had it last. I like that.
Just down the floor.
Oh, sorry. Right, okay. So I'm just going to do the same thing as I did with that strap connector. I'm going to use a little bit double-sided tape. You could just, if you're feeling a bit confident, you could just do this without the tape and just literally fold those edges over and just sew it as you go. But I'm not going to do that to Debbie because she's just starting out. I don't want her to hate bag making because I made her take some risks. And I also don't want to have to go and get the cork to cut out another one if we do this wrong.
It's the same, yeah.
Yep, same as the strap connector, you're folding both long edges into the centre.
And sewing the same as I did before.
So, should be looking like that. And you're going to sew it again with 1/4 inch seam allowance down both of the long edges. I finally found out what an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance looks like. Do you know, I think...
I struggled with that so much at the beginning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and do you remember we finished my bag, turned it out?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And then realised I'd done the seam allowance wrong. You could see all the messy bits.
Yeah, so Debbie's first bag, we could see all the basting stitches when you turned it out because she'd used the wrong seam allowances. But yes.
I think you were on the phone and I couldn't check with you that I'd got it right. So I thought, no, I've got it right, I'll do it. I don't know.
What is the name of the tape again? Okay, so the double-sided tape I use is from Amazon and it's called Fepito, I think. And I think it's spelled Fepito. But I'll put the link in the description when we're done, so you can all find it. It comes in packs of 6 or packs of 12 rolls. YouTube is an amazing way to learn anything. There are some amazing people that love to share with others. You're right, Maria, and I've learned so much from loads of people on YouTube. Loads of sewing. Oh, sorry, yep, you need to do the second one. Do you know who I really love is Jess Oakley-Roots. Her tutorials are so clear. Love hers. So I would say when you're trying to learn bag making, just try everything. Try patterns from all different designers. Try watching videos by lots of different people. You'd be amazed at the stuff that you pick up. I find Jess Oakley-Roots really easy to watch because her videos are such high quality. But then at the same time, when I watch YouTubers who are just starting out, they have like these amazing tips that other people don't know about. And so basically just keep your options open. Watch everything, try everything. Oh, you're right. I love that Kira is paying more attention than I am. And
What
Debbie
went
just
wrong?
sewed an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, not a 1/4 of an inch.
I did. Yeah.
It's fine.
You're right, I
We'll
did.
just have to go over it. Now you're going to be really glad that we're using a matching matching thread. Don't you use a pin to scratch the double-sided tape paper so you can peel it? It's easier. Becky, that would be easier. I'd never thought of trying that. I'm just sit there wrestling with it with my nails.
Yeah, that is an 1/8.
Okay, so Nicole says, by the way, I'm reading out your questions because no matter what I do, YouTube will not allow me to show the captions after it's live. So I just read out the questions.
Do I need to read it? I've also lost my bobbin thread.
No, you don't need to redo it, and that's because your bobbins run out because
Okay.
we were right at the end of it, so that's fine. Okay, so let me just have a look. Nicole says, I've heard it's not good for your machine when you're changing thread and you pull the previous thread in reverse of the way you thread it. Oh, because it can leave bits of fluff in the tension discs. Okay, that is a really good point and probably true. I'm normally quite careful because I get my machine serviced regularly, but that's a really good point. Love Jess and SciSwag. Yes, SciSwag is great as well. Really good videos. Right, okay, so set these down and grab your rectangle rings. So hopefully yours are sewn with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but if you've sewn them with an 8, then so be it. Okay, we need a bit more of the tape. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to mark this on the wrong side, so where your join is, hopefully you can see the little join there. You're going to mark it on the wrong side halfway down. So, yeah, there we go, I can just do it like that. Okay, just like that. Mark them both on the wrong side. And put some double-sided tape or glue or whatever on here, on these little ends.
That's not a rectangle ring.
Oh, it's not a rectangle ring, sorry. There's the rectangle ring. Okay, so anybody who's looking closely, we were going to use antique brass, but then I got this brushed brass arrive and now we're using that because it's just looking so lovely.
Amazing.
Okay, so you've got double-sided tape on the ends, just peel that off. You can use glue instead if you prefer, or if you don't have any tape, that is absolutely fine. Or if you're using cotton or canvas, you can probably just use an iron and hold this in place. Put one of your rectangle rings on there and fold this back to about where your line is. If it needs to go a little bit below, it's fine. Just, yeah, I'm going to put mine a little bit further down. Okay, so fold it back like that. Make sure that you're folding everything into the wrong side. So on the outside, you need to have like, yeah, this isn't where your join is. Your join is now hidden in the middle. Okay, so this is what you got on the back. It's meeting up nice and neat there. I'm just going to clip that in place. And then you can just set that aside. And we need to do the same thing with the other one.
And meanwhile, do I need to set my bobbin?
Meanwhile, I think you probably want to change over to the blue thread because I think for the rest of it, we're going to want to use the blue.
There's the blue bobbin. There is. I can't remember how to do that.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Isn't it? Like that.
Yeah, that looks right. That looks like I didn't see you put it in, but it looks about right.
Do I just pop that back in?
You need to make it so the arm's going up. The arm of the bobbin is at the top. Yeah. Okay, I'm just reading through the comments. Ah, thanks, Rhonda. Thanks. I'm glad you think my bag's beautiful. Okay, so Kira says Dritz tape will work in us for domestic machines, but it's not great, but it will work. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, Dritz tape. And Maria says, I use your technique for top zipper closures, so they fold over at the end nicely in the bag. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I love the top zip closure on this Momexa pattern, but I know that when you're doing it, it's a bit, it's almost like stressful because you're convinced that it's wrong. Or I am. Every time I do it, I'm like convinced it's wrong. But it always works out in the end. Okay, so this is what your strap connectors, strap tabs should look like. I'm just going to clip them in place because I don't think that my tape is necessarily going to hold until we sew them. Oh, Mandy's asking about the names of my bags patterns. The names of my bag patterns, they generally start off as Cornish words because we're Cornish and live in Cornwall. And then they sort of morph into other names. Basically what I'm going for with my bag names is like something that nobody else has used and it's free for hashtags, free if you look in Google, so like nothing comes up except the bags. It makes it easy for people to search for like inspiration. If you know, like you want to just see other people's bags, you can just search on hashtag Momexa and it's only going to come up with these. It's not like if I named a bag Lucy and it would come up with like millions of photos. So that's the goal with them. Okay, let's move on to step 2. Step 2, you're going to need your exterior main, piece A, just one of them. If you're having a zip pocket, 2 zip pocket pieces, which is pattern piece K, and a zipper. So if you're not having the pocket, you can just kind of skip this whole section, because this section is just for the exterior zip pocket, but I think most people like to add it. So first of all, you're going to measure. Make sure you've got your panel right side up if you've got directional fabric like this, okay? You're going to measure 3.5 inches down from the top, and then just slice right through this panel.
I just threaded the machine alone. I'm very happy.
You're very happy, or you're scared that it's going to not work?
No, I feel like it's gone right.
Oh, good, good. Right, 3.5 inches. Just check that I've got that right. So this is only if you're having the exterior pocket. Ta-da. Okay. I like to do it this way rather than having 2 separate pattern pieces, because it means that the join is neat and the fabric matches. Okay, so grab your zip. Sorry, I'm just checking that I'm doing it the same way as the pattern, because there's different ways to do it. Right, your zip is going to be closing one way. So mine closes that way. And when it's closed, you want that to be on the left. Okay, my left. This might be your right. Place it right sides together with this top piece and clip that together. Okay, so your zip should be going that way, should be going left. So when you're looking at it, it should be going left. And we're just going to baste that together. So you're literally just going to do like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance.
1/8, yep, okay, cool.
It doesn't need to be perfect because we're just basting. It can be like a long stitch length. Basting is just like, you know, we're not taking it out afterwards. It's just temporarily holding it in place. Okay, so I'm just having a quick look at the questions. That's why I'm looking down here and not at the camera. Okay. Oh, lots of people use Dritz wash away wonder tape apparently in the US groups, so that's quite handy. So Elaine's only cut out my paper pattern earlier, so we'll be cutting my fabric and sewing hopefully tomorrow. Piece A, does the fold go to the bottom rather than on the side of the fabric?
This is where I pull the zip across, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, sorry, hang on. Let me just say, so, oh my goodness, I forgot to totally change over. Right. There we go. Okay, so when you get to your zip, so you can see Debbie's near her zip, you put your needle in, lift up your presser foot, and then wiggle your zip down out of the way. Try not to wiggle it right off the end. Then put your presser foot back down and carry on. And that way you won't end up with wonky stitching or lose your place. Okay, piece A, does the fold go to the bottom rather than on the side of the fabric? Just gonna have to check that because I can't. Is it a cut on fold one? Is it? I can't remember. I always cut my piece A from measurements, so let me just have a look for you. Yeah, so it looks like it's where's my other piece A? Okay, so when you're cutting out piece A, the paper pattern piece is like that. So you're gonna, if you cut it on fold, you're gonna cut it like that. So it ends up, so it's gonna end up being the measurements on the cutting chart, which I think is, yeah, it needs to be 11.5 inches tall, which doesn't look right when you're looking at it because it looks like the bag is wider, but this is correct, trust me, this is the height. So you can always just cut it because it's a rectangle from the cutting chart, because the cutting chart's on there if you find it easier. It's whatever you prefer, really. Okay, Debs, nicely done. Right, next thing to do is, I'm just going to check that I don't drift away from the pattern because I want to make sure that I'm doing it in line with the pattern. Yeah. Okay, so grab your top piece again. Just going to put this away so I don't grab the wrong thing. And grab one of your lining pieces, and you want it right sides together on top. Okay, so the right side of your lining fabric is right sides together with your exterior fabric. Okay, and we're just going to clip that together. And then your zip is going to be nicely sandwiched in between. There you go. Okay, so what you want to do now, if you're using a standard presser foot like on mine, then I find this presser foot works really, really well for zips, because what I can do is I can just move my needle over so it moves over to closer to the zip, and then my presser foot, this edge sort of like sits against my zip, and it gives me like a really nice neat finish. So you just want it right up to the foot. So it's the equivalent seam allowance of, it works out being about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. But by using my standard presser foot like that, rather than using a zipper foot, I feel like I get a really neat finish. But you could just change over to a zipper foot, especially if your needle doesn't move over.
Okay, so I've already made my thingy hiccup a little bit.
Oh, that's okay. You can just take it out and start again if you want. Just pop your needle out. Okay, what have we got? See, Nancy says that the drips wash away tape was gumming up her needle. Definitely, if you can get it, I don't know if you can get it in the US, but the Furpito double-sided tape I'm using is really good. Doesn't gum it up at all. Oh, Kira's making a Toulouse 2.0 for her mum. That's really cool. Oh, do you want some help there? So Debbie's just having a little issue here.
Made a mistake.
Just made a mistake. Do you want
one of the what are they called?
a seam ripper?
Thank you.
Seam ripper is your best friend when you're bag making.
I'm not doing a good job at this.
Oh, that's okay. Look, it's much easier if you do this. You just stick it in between and then just. Oh, that one's, sorry, that's not the one that we're putting out. Just give it a tug.
Awesome. Brilliant, thank you. Right, I guess that's just because it's a different kind of material, isn't it?
Yeah, so it will be, oh yeah, because we're using waterproof canvas for the lining, so it will be like a little bit sticky almost.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, sticky.
You want to probably have your seam your stitch length on about 2.5, I would. Maybe 3. Maybe 2.5. I don't have too short of a stitch length when I'm doing these pockets, because we're about to top stitch it again in a minute, so it's going to be nice and secure.
Right, so I just feel like it's just like gathering out.
Do you feel like it's just sticking a bit?
Yeah, a lot. You see how it's not really moving anywhere?
Okay, so we could try switching out for a walking foot, or we could just try flipping it over and sewing with the canvas on top instead.
Okay, yeah.
That might be easier. Because again, me and my walking foot, we hate each other.
Does that one need to come out?
I would just rip that with the seam allowance, the seam ripper.
It's real life when things are going wrong.
Oh yeah, when you're doing like a YouTube video, you can just cut all of that out. Yeah, so I'd just try sewing it, and it might get stuck a little bit. I'm not sure. Give it a go. Give it a go.
Okay.
The only problem with waterproof canvas, because so we're using waterproof canvas for lining, but we're using 300 denier, which is a lot lighter than the normal stuff, which is great for linings.
Okay, let's try this.
No, you're staying still. All right, we're gonna have to get the walking foot out.
This is my introduction to waterproof canvas, and I'm not loving it.
I love waterproof canvas because you don't have to interface it, but yeah, today it's not proving great. Okay, let's do.
I might have to get a professional in a minute.
Do you want me to do this bit?
I feel like I should learn, but I'm slowing everybody down.
No, it's fine.
Right.
Okay.
I still can't love it.
Give it a try now with the.
That's like a monster.
It is a monster. Yeah, I really don't get on with my walking foot.
Okay, so where do I want it up against my zip still or not?
Oh yeah, no, you're right, because we're doing the zip. This isn't going to work. No. Okay, let's go back to the standard foot. Ah, now here goes. Here's an issue, isn't it? Can't very well sew a zip with a walking foot, can you? I hadn't thought about that. Okay, do you want me to give it a go?
Yeah.
And I'll see if I can find a technique that works. Okay, so let's switch over. There we go. Right, let's see how this goes. I'm wondering if we just need to get started and then it'll be easier.
Like bunches out there.
I think it might stretch a bit anyway, so I think we're going to have that issue.
Okay.
We'll soon find out, won't we? Oh yeah, it is bunching up. Oh, this waterproof canvas is not loving us. I feel like if I can get through a little bit, I can sort of help it out from the back. It's not going to be pretty, but at least it's not top stitching or anything. Do you know what I'm going to do as well? I'm going to increase my stitch length because it's doing a shorter stitch length than I want. So if I increase my stitch length, hopefully it'll just ease the pressure a little bit. Okay, we're getting a whole lot of bunching, but it'll be fine. It will work out. It's just a pocket.
It will be hidden.
So again, when you get near your zip, leave your needle in, lift your presser foot, and wiggle your zip out from underneath. This one is particularly sticky because the last waterproof canvas I was using, which was the same brand, but I did not have this issue. Okay, there we go. Right. It's a good thing that wasn't top stitching. Okay, so it's not pretty. Wow, look at the stretch on that. Okay. You see how much extra I've got down the side here, so I'm just going to trim that down because it seems to have stretched so much. So thankfully it's a pocket, not going to be the end of the world. But I bet I'm going to have some comments here saying, ease the presser on. Yeah, I can't change the pressure on my presser foot, unfortunately. The man that I get my machine serviced with said that these Boninas, the 930s, that they can't be done. That only like kind of service person do it because he has to open up the whole machine, go inside, take parts out, and then change it. So, unfortunately, that's not an option for me.
Do you have a Teflon foot?
I do have a Teflon foot, but we don't get on either. It's I've tried so many times. I think it was like a cheap Teflon foot, and it's just rubbish. Okay, so what you want to do is press your exterior up away from the zip.
Got the iron on?
No, that's okay. I'm not going to iron this one just because I feel like it doesn't need it and I don't want to put the iron too close to the waterproof canvas. Lots of people last week said they iron waterproof canvas. I'm still too scared to try. Okay, so we're going to now top stitch through this. So your pocket is hanging down, your exterior is up, and we're just going to top stitch it with a 4mm seam allowance. So, Debs, this is definitely going to stick on the bottom. Do you want me to do this bit just to make it a little bit easier? Sorry, I know we're totally cheating. So, I'll just change that over. Okay. So when you're top stitching, you want a nice long seam allowance. So I'm going to go with a 4mm, I think. Do you know, I just always assume that's what those numbers mean, that they're millimetres, but I don't actually know for sure. Okay, oh, you can hear that sticking. Okay, just move your zip out of the way as you go. So we're top stitching this with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I wouldn't normally sort of pull my fabric through the machine, but I'm just doing that because of this sticky waterproof canvas. Okay, right. Sorry, Deb. So once we get past this pocket, I'll or maybe we should swap for a bit. Okay. Maybe try putting the waterproof canvas against the dog fees. Yeah, it doesn't seem to like it either. Oh, this is interesting. Nicole says that her Teflon foot doesn't like her either. It's not just me. But got a roll of 1/4 inch Teflon tape and put it on the bottom of my presser foot and it works great. That would be amazing. I'll have to look at that. Oh, yeah, sorry. This is an instance where you would use tissue paper. Yeah. Okay, so once you've got that top stitched, grab, what are we doing next? We're going to do the pocket, we're going to do, let me just have a look. Yeah, now we're going to do the exterior. Okay, grab your piece of exterior. So this is the bottom piece that you just cut. Place that right side up. And you want to place your zip right sides together with it. Okay, so that once that's sewn together and you flip it up, it's going to look like that. Okay, so place it right sides together and clip that together. Thanks. Yeah, so this would be an instance where tissue paper would be great. This is just the way bag making goes sometimes. It's not always plain sailing. Yeah, and sometimes it just goes this way. So we're going to baste this together. We're going to baste the zip on with an 1/8 inch seam allowance.
That's a small one, right?
Yeah, Dalva says that the waterproof canvas that she used was not shiny on the wrong side. The stuff I've used, which was actually like the same brand from the same person, didn't have any problem with at all last time. And it did look shiny, but I didn't have any issues with it sticking. But my goodness, this one is sticking. Oh, Nicole, you got your idea for the Teflon tape from Seems Legit. Tori, it Seems Legit. She does really good stuff as well. You can pick up loads of really good tips from her. So 1/4 inch Teflon tape. I will get some for my presser foot and try that next time.
I've just realised I should change my stitch length, should I?
No, it's fine. When you're basting, I mean, you're supposed to have a long stitch length, but I kind of think most of the time it doesn't really matter. It's just basting. If you haven't changed your stitch length, don't worry too much about it. Okay, let's go to this part at the end there. So I'll just okay, so place what you've got down. So you're looking at the wrong side of the zip. And you're going to grab your second pocket piece and place it right sides together with the other pocket piece. So, but you're going to clip it to the zip. So you're going to clip it to the top of the zip, and your pocket pieces are now going to be right sides together. So I'll just clip that in place. Debbie's going to find some tissue paper for us to try. Well, it's a big piece.
It is a very big piece.
Okay, try not to lose your zip off the edge. That's you can put it back on if you do, but it's easier if you don't. So you just literally put the tissue paper down and then put this on top and you sew it onto it.
Okay.
So we're going to sew this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So again, I would move your needle as far as it goes to the left.
Right.
Because we're using a standard presser foot. And sew this on with maybe like 2.5 or 3 stitch length.
So I want to be up against my zip there.
Yeah. So you want your presser foot pushing up against the zip with your needle as far over as it can go.
And then a 2.5.
Yep.
Okie dokie.
And make sure you backstitch.
Can I just do the first few by hand, see if that stops it from...
See if the...
see how it's already... Like it just probably bunches up, doesn't it?
It does. It will do on the presser foot still. Yeah. Oh yeah, because that's... Sorry, I've just realised what we're doing. We need the tissue paper on the other side. Okay, so just...
Sorry, this is what happens when you've got a big energy.
So just put the tissue paper down, and then what you want to do is put the waterproof canvas on the tissue paper, because that's the sticky.
So I want to do it this side?
Yeah, do that side. Okay, so this is where we're going to see whether the tissue paper trick works. Right, other tips. Is that better? Oh,
yeah.
don't forget to backstitch.
Yeah, it's better. Oh, and I've lost this my thread though. I'll get there eventually. Won't I?
You've lost your needle. Lost your thread. But it is working. Right, okay, other tips we've got coming in. Use regular clear tape. Oh, okay, yeah, somebody said to me that Scotch tape works quite well. So I can imagine any sellotape on the presser foot might work. I think I used some once and it just ended up being a sticky disaster, but I don't think it was the right tape.
A sticky disaster.
I don't mean to show off, says Arnetta, but my machine has a setting for vinyl and leather.
Amazing.
Nice. And Linda says that we could use a rub of powder. Yeah, so is that like talcum powder or something, I guess?
This is working so much.
This is working. The tissue paper's working. Brilliant.
The only issue is it just probably that way, isn't it? Oh, this is like a dream compared to Nico.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're going to say that until you got to remove the tissue paper. That's when I hate it.
Decided I don't like waterproof canvas.
Yeah, well, waterproof canvas saves like a load of time because you don't have to interface it. And, of course, it's waterproof, so it's quite nice for the lining of a bag. But, yeah, right now it's not so much fun. Right, don't forget to backstitch at the end. Okay.
She says that because I forget every time.
Yeah, I've figured out that Debbie doesn't like to backstitch. So, which is funny because when I was teaching one of her sons to do some sewing, he doesn't like to backstitch either. So, what you're supposed to be able to do right now is tear. Oh my goodness, it almost worked. Oh, no, not quite. You're supposed to be able to tear it all away. But it doesn't quite work out every time. Okay. Okay, actually, that was really easy. I have spent 10-15 minutes once trying to get all the tissue paper out, so that's why it was kind of a last resort. Now, what you want to do is pull these two bottom pieces down, push them away from the zip. So just give it a good finger press around the zip, just push it away from the zip. And then on the exterior side, do the same thing. Just push it away from the zip, get a nice crisp finish to the edge. This top pocket piece, I would just clip it out the way because the last thing you want is to sew through it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch through here and we're going to catch the lining on the back as we're doing it. I'm going to use 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I will just put a couple of clips because the waterproof canvas is fighting me. Okay, so you're going to... Oh no, you're not going to need any tissue paper because we're on the good side, the non-sticky side of the waterproof canvas. Okay, so we're just going to top stitch this with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So make sure your stitch length is on a nice long one. I go, yeah. So the needle needs to be central. Yeah, 4 millimeter stitch length. And we're doing an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance.
I need to backstitch.
Yeah, don't forget to backstitch.
Got it. We'll get there.
Okay, so we just got a comment. Hi from Adam, Logan and Alex. We're on the beach, lazy, eating pizza. So that's my husband and her 2 kids. They're just on the beach eating pizza. Okay.
Hey guys.
I love these tips that are coming through. Arnetta, what machine is that? Oh yes, Arnetta, tell us what machine has a special setting for vinyl and leather, because that would be awesome.
Cool.
Occasionally I think about changing my machine to one which has an adjustable pressure on the presser foot and different things like that. But this was given to me by my grandmother, so I think I'm going to just keep it forever. There you go.
I'm very happy with that. There's the odd wonky bit, but overall.
It's looking really good, Deb. It's looking really good. Okay, so unclip your top pocket piece, pull it down. We've got some really long stray threads going on here. So I'll just get rid of that one and that one. Okay. So on the back, your pocket pieces, one will be slightly longer than the other. So you just want to trim the longer one to match. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clip it together, just the pocket pieces. Okay. And then I'm going to trim it. Okay. Now you just want to sew the bottom of the pockets together. Now you're not sewing through the exterior, you're just sewing the bottom. I'll just grab a couple more clips. Just the bottom of the pockets. So lift it away. Oh man, I'm on the thing. Sorry. I knew having two cameras was a bad idea. Okay, so I've just trimmed so that these two match. Okay, because one of them was longer a minute ago. Now I've clipped them together. We're just going to sew through here with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Do not sew through the main panel. So you've got to pull it away, just sew through there.
And we're going to need this, yeah?
And we're going to need the tissue paper. Yeah.
Okay.
So about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, although let's be honest, it doesn't really matter because it's just the bottom of the pocket. Right, I'll try and get the cameras right. Sorry, guys. Oh. I love that comment. Your other half has it made today. Save some pizza for Joe and Debbie.
Although he is babysitting, so...
He is, yeah, he's looking after the kids, so maybe it's not so good, I'm not sure. Okay, our netter, her machine is a Viking Opal 690Q. Okay, so it has a special setting for leather and vinyl. Kira says, we're surprised you're not sponsored by anyone yet and have a new machine. Contact Benina and ask them if they'd sponsor you. I know what you mean, but I do love this machine. Oh, I don't know. And I don't think I have space for any more. I've already got two. I've got my Singer 201 and this one. I haven't got space at the moment.
Do I just go to the end and stop? I'm not doing the sides? Or am I doing the sides?
No, just backstitch. Yeah, you're not doing the sides yet.
I mean, this is a fight with this waterproof canvas. It's not pretty.
Debbie is not loving the waterproof canvas today. Okay. See if it rips straight off. If it doesn't, we're leaving it in there because it's in the pocket. No one's going to know.
Oh no, it's going horribly wrong.
Oh, there you go, that bit can. Okay, it's a little bit left. Look at your long threads. Okay, let's just trim that off. Right, the next thing to do is just to baste this pocket on. So, just clip your pocket down the sides to the exterior. I think a couple more clips. So we're definitely going to want some more tissue paper, Debs. Okay, we're just going to sew the sides just to baste that pocket in place. Okay, so make sure you've got the waterproof canvas on top of the tissue paper.
From the zip? Or do I go through the zip? Or?
Yeah, you can go through the zip. Because it's a nylon zip, you can go straight through it.
And 1/4 inch or half?
1/8 of an inch seam allowance because we're just basting it. So,
so much better.
Yeah, and you don't need to reverse. No, it's fine. Because we're basting, we don't really need to reverse backstitch.
The one time I remembered to backstitch as well. Okay, so if I come past the pocket, I stop now.
Yep, you can stop once you've got past the pocket. I feel like we're being ambitious saying this is going to be 2 hours and that maybe it might be a bit longer.
Okay, and then do the same the other side?
Yep, just the same thing over on the other side of the pocket. We're just spacing it down. No, don't need to backstitch, you're safe there. Okay, and I'll just grab my other pieces that we need for the next part, which is that and that. And strap connector, where did I put that? Right there, Debs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unthreaded itself again.
It has.
It's because you've got to hold it down as you take off. So you can tell this is very real compared to real normal YouTube videos. You can kind of hide all your mistakes.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, Mona from Denmark.
Okay.
We've got a really nice international group today.
Oh, it's sticking over there.
Oh, on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, Debbie's hating the waterproof canvas.
Oh yeah. Definitely hating waterproof canvas. Okay.
I feel like she's going to cut out a different lining before next week. Oh, okay. So, before we start step 3, we'll just check. Oh, that did come off nice and easily. We'll just check that this panel matches the other one, okay? Because sometimes when you're sewing zips in, you end up. Don't worry, it's going to be hidden. It's all going to be hidden. Sometimes when you're sewing zips in, if you're using like a different size zip or a different seam allowance, your panel can end up being slightly the wrong size. Okay, you love your long threads, Deb. So just grab your other panel and just check that they match before we go any further, okay? And then we're going to start step 3. So we're on page 8 of the pattern. You need your other main exterior piece. You need your base overlay. Threads everywhere. You need your base stabiliser. So we're using Decaville Heavy, but you could use Peltex or like Peltex 71F, Peltex S520. There's lots of different things. You just want something quite firm, basically. You could use 2 layers of Decaville Light if you wanted. Right, what else do we need? We need strap connector. We need our O-rings. And a few rivets if you're using them. So if you don't want to use rivets, you can kind of get away with not using them, but I think they look awesome and they make it a little bit easier to sew as well. And then we're going to do our tassel as well in this step, so we're doing quite a lot. First of all, grab your strap connector and chop this down. So you want 4 pieces, 4 shorter pieces and 2 longer pieces, okay? So just check that out on, where are we? We're on page 8. Now the reason I have you make this as 1 is because otherwise you have to like start and stop backstitch on all of these pieces, and it's just so much easier to just do it all at once and then just cut it down.
So what are those ones? 3 3/4 inches?
Yeah, these are the shorter ones, 3 3/4 inches. So we're going to have 4 of these. There we go. And then 2 at 7 1/4. Okay. So grab one of your exterior panels, either one, the one with the pocket or the one without, doesn't matter. And make sure that it's the right way up. Taller than it is wide. I've got threads going everywhere. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to measure and mark 1.5 inches down. Now for this, you're going to want an erasable fabric pen, an air erasable pen, a tailor's chalk, something that's going to rub off. But before you start, test it on an offcut, because if you draw the line right now and it doesn't come off, you're going to really be annoyed with your pen. Okay, so we're going 1.5 inches down from the top. And you just want to draw a line across, and then 1 3/4 inches in, you want to draw a line just below the line that you first drew. So we're doing that on both sides. Okay, so you've got a line across the top and 2 little lines. I don't draw my lines too strong because I just worry about it, so I just do it like that. Right, grab your, let me just check, yeah. I haven't made a Momexa for ages, I've been making Toulouse 2s and I need to check everything. Grab your 3 3/4 inch pieces and you want to mark them 7/8 of an inch in, okay? So we're marking this on the wrong side of the fabric. Yeah, wrong side. Okay, so you're doing it where you've got your join. 7/8 of an inch, like that. So I'll just do that on all 4. And then Debs, if you can stick a little bit of double-sided tape on the other end away from the mark. That'd be great.
There it is.
Yes, just a little bit on the end. Thanks. Perfect. Okay. Terry, haven't finished cutting out the fabric yet. Yeah, I'm glad we did ours last week. It's quite nice, like starting with a freshly cut bag. Okay, so what you're going to do, grab an O-ring. Oh, sorry, Deb's got to be on the other side. The side that doesn't have the mark.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
Oh, I think I can, yeah, there we go. I can get that over. Okay. So you've got your mark 7 8 of an inch in, and you've got your double-sided tape on the other end. Put your ring on, and then fold this back to your 7 8 of an inch mark, and just stick that in place. Not sure if this one's going to stick.
Here's another one if not.
And then you want to put some more tape just along here because we're going to stick it onto our panel. So I love double-sided tape in this pattern. It's just so much easier than glue. So you'll notice that I use it quite a lot in this pattern.
Is that a long piece you need?
Yeah, is that all right? Just like a slightly long piece to go along here. Thank you. Okay. So got a little bit more double-sided tape. And then what we're going to do is place this on here. Now, you want your strap to be below the mark, below the big line that you made. So it's below the line, and then this line here that we drew is right where the fold is of the ring. Okay. So actually, we'll do one at a time. Now we're going to need to change over to white thread, so you're going to need to wind up your white bobbin.
I've got the bobbin there.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've done this before. Do you know how to wind up a bobbin?
I can't remember. I have done it, but it's been a long time. So.
Okay, so you just want to...
Have you got the bobbin?
Yeah, I've got it there. These ones don't have little cutouts, so you have to just wind it around a bit to get it started. Okay, and then just put your foot down. Brilliant.
How much do you want? Have you got more white?
Very cool and calm. I don't feel cool and calm. Yeah, I've got loads of white thread. I don't know why. Black and white. Just go all the way until it stops. It'll stop on its own. Oh yeah, sometimes it does that. It just throws itself off the top. Okay, so once you've got one of your straps on, you want to measure 1 inch from this fold, so 1 inch from the end, and draw a line. Again, you're going to need your erasable pen. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew this on with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to go along one edge, down the line, and back. That leaves enough room for us to fit a rivet.
Okay, we need another white thread, aren't we?
That one will be alright for now. You'll be amazed how long it'll last. Oh. They always look like they're about to run out, and then they just go on for ages.
Yeah, I didn't want it to run out halfway through.
Yeah, I know. I always worry about bobbins running out.
Oh, there's blue bobbins on the floor.
You're right there, Debs.
Yeah, just
having a moment with the bobbin. There you go.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. So what we're going to do next is sew it into place. Right, so it needs to come out to the left. Yeah, brilliant. So I know a lot of people don't like to change the threads because it's a faff and it's a bit time consuming, but this part of the pattern where you're sewing these on, you've got a little bit of layers going on, and I just think it's worth changing to a matching thread just to make sure that it comes out really neat. And you don't need to worry if you've got like a little bit of an imperfect stitch, because no one's going to see it.
Yay! Very nice and easy.
Okay, so I'm just going to put the rest of my rings in place.
It's the little victories that... so why is it not?
Oh, yeah, it's the bobbin case, yeah. So as you do that...
I did this perfectly last time, I was very happy.
You'll be a natural in no time, Debbie.
There you go. Ta-da!
Okay. Okay, so what we're doing, we're sewing 1/8 of an inch down here, and then right along this line, and then back. So there's a bit of double-sided tape to hold it in place, but you will need to sort of still take it easy.
As well.
Yeah, backstitch, yeah.
So down to the line.
I feel like I keep misplacing things. Right, yeah, and then you're going across the line, and make sure you leave your needle in as you're pivoting. Ah, Hazel's got the same problem. Her vinyl's sticking. Oh, it's so frustrating.
That is, yeah, the worst part so far.
Let Debbie measure. That's the hardest part for me. Ah, it's hard. Okay.
I did that bit last time, and yeah.
Okay, so we've got it sewn into place. We'll attach the next one before we go ahead, because we're going to fit rivets and stuff, but we'll just fit all the rivets at the end. Okay, so again, you're placing it below this line that you drew, and then the fold is on that other mark that you made. Okay, and remember to measure 1 inch from the fold and just draw a line so that you can sew along that. So you're going to do the same thing again. Hang on a second, there's a bit of double-sided tape that's sneaking off the end, and it's going to be a real misery when you get stuck on your machine. Okay, there you go. Don't forget to backstitch.
Yeah, I have.
Keep thinking, oh, I need to
pass my line, but...
So don't forget to backstitch. Oh. I say it, but I still forget sometimes. Oh, I was very ambitious thinking that we were going to be done by 7. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is fit the centre piece. So on this one, you just want to mark it along the centre. So just find the centre, probably easiest to fold it. Mark it on the wrong side. And then put a little bit of double-sided tape on each short end. Okay, pair of scissors? There we go, pair of scissors. Right, I've just made that a little bit too long, that's all. Okay, so you got your centre marked on the wrong side, double-sided tape on both ends. Now you just need to wrap this around. So what we're going to do is just put it through one of these rings and fold it back to meet the centre mark. And then you're going to put the other side through the second ring and fold it back. So it should fold back, both of them, to the centre mark, and that should fit. But if you get, like I've got here, like a little bit of pulling, then what's most important is that it's flat, so you can just stretch out a little bit and just make sure that it's sitting nice and flat. And wherever it sits flat, that's where you want to stick it. Because you don't want it sort of like pulling in, if you see what I mean. And make sure it's lined up with that line that you drew. It should be just underneath it. And I'll just put a tiny bit more double-sided tape on there to make it easier to sew.
Just cut off my long threads because I know they bother you.
Oh, the long threads. Debbie loves to live. Why do you leave your threads long? There's a reason, isn't there?
I think it's just that when I used to do very basic sewing in school and
Hand
if I'd
sewing or
forgotten
something.
to backstitch, then it would just come straight out. Whereas if I left a long bit, it was like a security.
Okay, so what we're going to do, again, we're going to mark 1 inch in from the rings because we want to be able to fit our rivets there. So just measure and mark 1 inch from each fold. Okay, so what you're going to do, Debs, is do 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and then down one line, 1/8 of an inch and back up the other line.
Cool, yeah.
Make sure you backstitch.
I do remember this bit.
And it should be lined up with that top line. You should just be far enough away from the rings. That's the plan. So I know in the pattern I fit the rivets as I go, but I figured that we would do that all at the end. It is not much of a difference, so we'll do it that way. I've lost one of my earrings. Oh, there it is. Okay.
I did forget to backstitch at the beginning.
You forgot to backstitch at the beginning. Just make sure that you go over it a few stitches when you get to it and then backstitch.
Yeah.
And
Do that.
just, yeah, better to have too much stitching than not enough.
Anyone else always forget to backstitch? Can't just be me, surely.
Yeah, there must be others that forget to backstitch. It's got to be a common thing, I'm sure. I'm just going to draw my line on my other exterior piece
Okay.
because I'm aware that it's dinner time. Ooh, this is going to be these rings that me and Debbie are using this time. Let me just switch back. They're a bit thicker, which is nice, but I just want to be sure that they were going to fit above the pocket, but they do. It's going to be nice and close. Okay, so once you've got that all sewn, if you wanted to, rather than back stitching, if you're using like a contrasting thread, you can pull the stitches through to the back and tie them off, but if you're using a matching thread you can't see it, so it's fine. Now what we're going to do is fit our rivets. So I've got one of these rivet templates. You can get them from different places. This one's from Calisphere, but I think in America they're from Tops and Bobbins. And I just put mine as close as I can get to the ring, and that means the first rivet is going to be 1/2 inch. It's going to be 1/2 inch away from the ring. So if you've not got one of these, just measure 1/2 inch. I just like this for trying to get my rivets nice and central on the strap. So from each ring edge, you're going to have it with a rivet. So there's going to be 4 rivets in total. And to be honest, you can mark this with the Sharpie if you want, because your rivet's going to go through it. So I've got one of these rivet hole punches. These I find are easiest, so I'm just going to punch that hole, just check it's on the smallest setting. It's a really satisfying noise when it does it. If your rings are like mine and they've got, you know, like a gap in them, like where it's joined, make sure that you have them hidden in the straps before you set your rivets, because your rivets should hold it in place. If you're not using rivets, I should have said, if you're not using rivets, you would need to follow the pattern and sew right up to the edge of the ring to hold it in place, because otherwise the ring will just be swinging around. So pop your rivets in. And hopefully you've got a press like me. It's just so much easier with a press. I was going to try and cover hand tools today, but we definitely don't have time for that.
My waterproof canvas slowing us down.
Yeah, maybe I was a little ambitious about how much we get done today. You know, lots of people do sew-alongs in one day, and I think, how do they do it? Okay, there we go.
It's looking pretty already.
Yeah, I like this bit. You can start to see it coming together. Okay, grab your other exterior panel. And you need to mark 1.5 inches down again, 1 3/4 of an inch in from each edge, so that we're ready to fit our rings. And then you're just going to place a ring on each side. Thanks. So remember, it's going to be underneath the line you drew, and the fold is going to be on the mark. And make sure that you mark it 1 inch in, again, so you can fit your rivet. I'm going to sew that again with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and down the line. Oh, Annetta is using Chicago screws instead of rivets. Is a great idea. Really good idea. Oh, thanks, Elaine. I'm glad you like the hardware you got. I just started stocking hardware because I know it can be really hard to find kits, and sometimes you end up having to buy more of one. Like you end up with loads of sliders and not enough D-rings, and it just ends up very frustrating. So I thought kits were a good idea. Oh, that silver knob. No, I asked the guy if that. Sorry, Terry was saying that was the silver knob on top of my machine for the tension, but it's for. I think it is to do. It's something to do with tension, but it's not for my presser foot. If that's what you mean, for releasing the pressure. So says my serviceman. I haven't read the manual, but he told me that that I can't change the pressure on my presser foot. So I'm going to trust him on that. Okay. Okay, once you've got that one sewn on, grab your second one. Oh, can't get this double-sided tape off. This is when I need a pin, like somebody said earlier. There we go. Okay, and we just need to mark that 1 inch in so we can fit the rivet later. There you go. These are the waterproof canvas.
Yeah, we've been having a fight again, but at least I can hold it out of the way.
Debbie really doesn't like it. I don't blame you. If you could have any machine you wanted, what would you have? Oh my goodness, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Loads of people seem to have HD9s. I think they're by Genome. They sound amazing. But I don't know. Hard to say. I do love this machine with all of its quirks. Kim, are you from Newquay? Yep. We are from Newquay. I'm wondering how you can tell. My brother always says that we're very Newquay. Whatever that means. Okay. We're making progress, I was worried there that we were going to get really behind.
My waterproof canvas really...
Yeah, it's just the waterproof canvas holding us up.
I'm getting in the swing of it now. This is where I start making mistakes because I get too confident.
Oh yeah, that is the problem with getting overconfident. Okay, so grab your long piece, again mark it on the centre and stick some double-sided tape on each end. My desk is getting really busy.
All the rubbish goes on the floor. For later.
We'll put it on the floor, we'll sort that later. Although I saw on somebody said on a Facebook group that they had a kitten that ate some threads and it was really bad. So I think it died. So I'm like more cautious nowadays.
Keep the cats out.
Yeah, to keep the cats out. Okay, so we're going to put this through this O-ring and fold it back to that centre mark. And then on the other side, we're going to do the same thing again. It should just about come back to the centre, but basically it depends how thick your O-rings are and if they're slightly different sizes. Basically what we want is for the rings to be tight, sitting nice and flat. You don't want it pulling in on the edges, so wherever it's comfortable but the rings are nice and like tight, that's where you want it. There we go. Okay, and then I'm loving the double-sided tape in this pattern. I realise I'm using a lot of it. I'm going to put some there as well. feel like once I found double-sided tape that I could sew through, it changed my life. I do love it. Okay, so again, you're going to mark it 1 inch in because we want to be able to fit our rivets on the edges. This little 1 inch ruler is so handy for this. There you go. And again, you're going to sew it with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So Kim is from Lou, so you're really close.
Oh, cool.
Really close by. I think Lou's really nice, isn't it? It's a lot less touristy than Yuki. Yuki's lovely, but it's packed.
Yeah, just can't wait, but...
Did you remember to backstitch there?
I did, but I did it a bit late.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's why we're using matching thread, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm late to live. Where did you get your waterproof canvas? I got it from Little Stitcher Sews. And the navy I had before was like easy peasy to sew, but this one is definitely fighting us. So yeah, get some tissue paper if you're getting some. It's a really nice lightweight waterproof canvas. It's really good for linings. But just bear in mind that you're definitely going to want some tissue paper. Okay, we'll be moving on to the base once we've sewn that in place. Just remember to backstitch at the end. Sorry, I feel like I come across really condescending, but I don't mean to. Just like, I'm just aware that
I usually forget.
we forget. Yeah. I think I used to.
Okay, it's not super neat, but it's...
Is it too much pressure being on being live?
No, it's not.
It's scary. Okay. Grab your base stabiliser once you've finished with that one.
These bird scissors don't like me.
And you want to draw a line down the centre, down the length of it. The bird scissors aren't the greatest. There's another pair, we'll have to find them. They're much better. It's got my front and back. Ta-da! This is what I mean by bird scissors. They're like a stalk, I think, but they're just not very sharp. Okay, grab your base overlay, and on the wrong side, draw a line down the centre of that as well. Oh, I'm just figuring out where the centre is. There we go. Okay, so you want to put your stabiliser on. I'm going to use some double-sided tape because I don't want to use an iron to fuse this to my cork. It's only happened to me once, but I had cork like ruined once when I used an iron on it. And now I'm just super cautious, so I always test it first, but I haven't tested this one, so I'm just going to use tape. Okay, so your stabiliser, you want it to lay centrally. That's why we've got these lines. We're going to match up these lines on your base overlay piece. Now, it's going to be 1/2 inch in and centred. So 1/2 inch on this edge, 1/2 inch on this edge, and the centre lines should match. Right, once you've done that, you just want to fold the base over, and the base should just about go up to that centre line, okay? And we're just going to clip that in place. Can I have some clip? Thanks. Or you could use some more double-sided tape here. That would work too. So fold both long edges over and they'll pretty much meet in the middle. If you've got a little bit of room, just make sure that they meet. You don't want them overlapping. You just want them to meet. Like that. Now we're going to sew these two long edges with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So that's 3/8. Okay, so that...
Is that when I put the needle to the...
no. That line just there.
Okay, yeah.
And you want it on a long stitch length because we're just top stitching. So probably a 4 I would go for.
Yeah. And do I need to backstitch?
Yeah, make sure you backstitch. Oh yeah, so Kim, it's called Little Stitcher Sews. If you Google it, I think it will come up. She's on Instagram as well.
Is it okay that we're using white thread?
Yeah, it's okay that you're using white thread, yeah. It'll look quite nice actually, I think. Oh, Kathy feels the same. Loves the double-sided tape, and I just forgot to change the camera. Recently took a commercial bag apart to reuse the components on a new pouch and was surprised to find it was full of double-sided tape. It's not just us. That's good. So it must be something that they use in commercial bag making.
Right, so just forgot to stick my finger in.
Right, so when you get to the end, yeah, you can just sew across. Oh, you've lost your thread. What happened?
That's because I messed up there.
Oh, what happened?
I turned the corner, I pulled my needle out, but not my foot up. Not my foot up.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Left your foot down when you tried to turn the corner.
Yes.
So what I would do is just backstitch where your thread broke, because otherwise, although it's at the end, you just don't want it to come loose. Do you want some help threading the needle there, Debs?
Well, I wanted to cut the end. 'Cause it's just
Oh,
a bit
you want to cut
fuzzy.
the end. Right. I'll give you that.
Thanks. Need the other scissors.
I know, I need to find the other pair of scissors. There's a nice sharp pair of scissors somewhere, but I can tell you where. Okay, how's it going, Deb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that white thread looks quite nice on the blue. It's like subtle.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm back.
Okay, so I would just
Sorry.
backstitch where you got to, just because otherwise that's going to come out. Just go over it a couple of times, and then come across the corner again.
Ooh. I've gone
Right,
down
what are we
too
doing
far
next?
again. Very good at that. Right, okay. Not 3/8. Is it okay that I'm not quite 3/8?
Oh, yeah, no, when you come across the side, just do less than 3/8 because that's going to be hidden later. Sorry,
Okay.
so I should say that when I'll show you guys in a minute. What I mean, if you, because rather than just sewing the long sides, it's easier to like join them by sewing across one of the edges, short edges, but you don't want to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance there because then it will show later.
Hopefully you won't see that dodgy bit I just did. Sorry about that. Hopefully that
I
is.
think we're going to see a little bit of it, but it's okay, Debs. It's your second bag. It's not going to be perfect.
Plus, no one's going to look at the bottom, are they?
I think sometimes we expect perfection, but it's not realistic. So make sure you backstitch.
I was just going to go along here. Okay, that's fine, isn't it? Yep. Yeah, look at that wonky bit there. Don't look too close.
Don't look too closely. Okay, so that is really wonky. Anyway, right, so you're sewing just these long edges with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, but it's obviously easier to just leave your needle in and do this little bit as well. In which case, make sure that you're only using about 1/8 of an inch because that later you don't want it to be on show. Okay, grab your 2 exterior pieces, Debs.
Yeah.
And the next thing we're going to do is put them right sides together. So you want them like this. Put them right sides together and clip the bottoms together. Oh! Do you know what we've got to do? We've got to put the rivets on this one.
Oh yeah.
Let's do that first. I felt like why are the rings rattling around? That's why. And this is why you should follow the pattern. Because I don't. I just I try to go off memory and then I just forget stuff. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to mark these in. If you're using like all cotton, like a thin cotton for everything, you might want to wait and fit these rivets after you've fitted your foam, or you might want to put some Decaville behind them or something like that. Oh, can you pass me that, Debs? Because otherwise they won't be like, they won't sort of be strong enough. Now, it's not like there's going to be a lot of weight on these rings. They haven't got handles coming off them or anything, but I would still, if I was using all cotton, because we're using cork, I'm not worried, but if we're using all cotton, I would put like a piece of Decaville, foam, Peltex, anything like that behind. Just to firm them up. There we go. Oh, that one didn't go through. Oh, I haven't had much luck with many of these. Maybe my punch is finally getting blunt. Yeah, none of them gone through except one. That's better. Okay, I think we might have just lost sound. Anybody able to hear us now? I've got to wait 10 seconds now. Oh. Okay, any better with the sound? Let us know. Sorry, we're 10 seconds behind you, so it takes a little while for us to realise. Right, somebody can hear us, so that's good. Thanks, Margaret. Hopefully we are back on and it's all fine. Whew, disaster. Okay. Hopefully you can now hear us. Gone again. Nope. Yes. No. Not sure. Some yes, some no. Yeah, I wonder what's going on there. Okay. Hopefully. Yes? Okay. Sorry guys. This is a problem with lives. Okay.
Right. Sewed the bottom.
So we've sewed the bottom together with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Phew. Glad that's working. Okay. So what you want to do is press the bottom seam open. Yeah, let's iron it. Why not? So I'm just going to press that seam open before we put the base overlay on, just to get like a nice crisp finish. Oh, that was scary. Scary losing sound. Okay, right, we're just pressing the bottom open, then we're going to fit the base. Right, I'm just going to tidy up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so on your base, you might want to just mark the centres on the short sides, okay? This is going to make it slightly easier to get it central. So you just want to mark those short edges. Now place your exterior right side up, and you can match now these little marks that you made with the seam to make sure that it's centred and that it's straight. And then just clip that into place. Was that Adam phoning us to say, Joe, no one can hear you?
That was actually our mum.
Oh, okay.
So our mum is in hospital at the moment, and unfortunately because of COVID she's not allowed any visitors, so we have lots of phone calls instead.
Yeah, which is good. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so now that that's sewn, now that's clipped into place, we're going to sew it with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance along here, and then down the edge, across and back. So all 4 edges of this base overlay you're going to sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Alright.
So I would again go with like a longish stitch length because I feel like it's top stitching and I want it to look nice. And it's going to be sewn into the seam later, so I think a nice long stitch length, there's nothing wrong with that. We're having a disaster here.
Oh dear.
If you're using foam in the main part of the bag, we're going to come to that in a minute. That comes up soon. You're back? Okay. Sorry guys. Totally disastrous day with the tech.
So you want a nice long seam one? Yeah.
Right, here we go. Right, Debbie's just going to sew the base using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. It looks like you're using 1/4 inch, but that's fine.
I am using
it's
1/4
fine.
inch.
Stick with it now. You've done it.
Muddled up.
Now you've done it. Stick with it.
Yeah.
Thing is, if you want, we can go back and do an 1/8 in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I just always get them muddled up. Don't know why. Just got to try and keep my waterproof canvas out of the way. My enemy.
Oh, it's a total disaster. Weird screen shaking. Oh man. Sorry guys about the tech. Doing a live is... I love Kira's comment. Too many people on holiday using Wi-Fi in your area. That is exactly what my husband said before he left. He said, bank holiday weekend, all the tourists in Newquay are going to be using their phones and the Wi-Fi is going to be terrible.
Nothing if not consistently wrong in my stitch lengths.
Seam allowance, yeah.
Yeah.
But so long as it's consistent and straight, I mean, we can go back and do an 1/8 of an inch if you want, or to be honest, we could leave it as 1/4 of an inch. It doesn't look bad, and it seems like it's going to be okay. You want to do an 1/8 of an inch as well?
So will this just show on the bottom?
Yeah.
That's right though, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah, it's fine like that if you want to leave it like that.
Yeah,
Okay, just make sure you backstitch. Yep.
Supposed to be helping everyone else, but I'm doing it wrong. So
Oh, foam behind the rivets, Nancy. Yeah. So if you're literally using cotton for like all of this and this, then I would consider putting like anything like foam, Decaville, anything like that, any sort of stabiliser just behind the rivets, I just cut out a piece and just put it behind, and then when I punch through, I put the rivet through the foam or the Decaville or whatever. Or you can wait until this bit where we attach the foam, and then you can put your rivets on because it'll be going through that foam. That's another option. So grab your main panel stabiliser, and somehow we've ended up, I think maybe our stabiliser's a little bit longer than it's supposed to be.
That will be my cutting skills.
So that's okay, we're going to trim that down in a second. That, or you've used the wrong seam allowance on the bottom, but hopefully, it looks right, so I'm thinking that it's just that the stabiliser's the wrong size. Okay, so what we're going to do is clip this panel to the foam. Now when you're using foam, you want to kind of like stretch it out so it's nice and tight fitted, because you don't want it to be like the fabric to be baggy, sort of. I can't think of a better word to describe it.
Sagging.
Yeah, you don't want a saggy fabric. So I just kind of, and it will stretch a little bit, you know, like cotton, even if it's interfaced, it tends to stretch just a little bit. So I just try and make sure it's nice and tight. And make sure that your clips are the right way around so that you're going to be able to sew with the foam up. It's really important, I think, to sew with the foam up, because your fabric will stretch just a little bit, and so if you sew from the foam side, you won't get any stretch. So, being that our foam is a little bit too big, I'm just going to trim it down. Okay, so you'll need to baste that foam on with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance around the whole edge. And you're going to do it with the
quarter.
Yeah, 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch. Now, when you're doing this, be careful that your rings don't get caught on the edge of the machine.
Okay.
So we're only basting it, so if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. But just be careful, because your rings will try and get caught on the edge of the machine as you're doing it. Please don't let tech issues put you off. I'm so glad you said that, because they are putting me off.
It's quite unfortunate as well, because our phones are on silent and do not disturb, but because our mum's in hospital, we've got an exception for her phone number, which is the reason why the phones rang. They wouldn't normally. So sorry about that.
Debbie Reed, missed this, but where are you located again? We're in Cornwall, in Newquay.
So if you've watched Poldark, it's where Poldark's filmed.
Yeah, that's where we live.
That is Cornwall.
Poldark,
so.
yeah. So yeah, Nancy, if you are using all cotton, the easiest way to fit your rivets would be to baste the foam like we're doing now, and then fit your rivets, because you could punch through the foam as well, and it will give that extra bit of support. Because the problem is that the rivets aren't, they need like lots of material to go through, and they're not necessarily going to have enough if you're using all cotton. Oh, thanks Mandy. She's just got some Momexa kits from my website. We're giving you inspiration. I like that. That's what we're going for. Even though it's not been plain sailing. Hopefully this helps you guys realise that it's not always plain sailing. But that doesn't mean your bag's not going to turn out great. Ah, thanks Kim. So, let me get that.
Also, I think just don't give up, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah, because I think
the first bag can't be perfect.
And I think we expect perfection, but at the end of the day, like, we're not perfect. And if you buy a bag from a shop, if you look at it, you will find lots of imperfections. So it'll make you feel a lot better. When you make a bag yourself, people aren't going to see the imperfections. They're just going to see like the really cool fabric or the cool hardware or whatever you've used to make it unique.
I'm doing the top out right.
Yeah, so you're sewing all 4 edges here. They're spacing all 4 edges.
So I would see Joe's perfectly looking bags, and then found it a bit too intimidating to do my own. So the first one is really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, the first one is really hard, and what's hard about making your first ever bag is that you think, I need to use rubbish fabric because I don't want to waste good fabric. But at the same time, if you're using rubbish fabric, you're not going to enjoy it, and you're not going to like be excited about making it. So just bear that in mind as well. I kind of feel like your first bag, if it's for you, it doesn't matter if it doesn't come out perfect anyway. What do you do with Decaville? So Tammy, if I was going to use Decaville to like back my rivets, I'd literally just cut out a scrap piece that's like 1 inch by 1 inch, and then I would just punch a hole through it, and I'd put the rivet through all the materials, then through the Decaville, and then I'd flip the rivet into place. Oh, sorry, I just realised, Tammy, that you're talking about if you're using Decaville for the main stabiliser. Okay, if you don't want to use foam, you could use Decaville Light instead for the main stabiliser. You need to cut it 1 inch shorter in width, 1 inch shorter in height. And then basically it's going to be inset 1/2 inch from each edge. And that way it's not going to be in your seam allowance. It's not something that you want to sew through, Decaville. Yeah, sorry Nancy, I have skipped the tassel. I sort of jumped straight ahead into the next bit. Purely because it's 7:10. My stomach is rumbling and I just realised that, you know, we've got a way to go yet. So we'll do the tassel next week because it's like an optional step.
I've just broken my needle.
Oh, Joe's broken a needle.
What was that?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's happened.
Right. What you want to do
in there
is cut your threads. I haven't broken a needle in ages. So just pull out the top bit, first of all. So you just unscrew that bit. Breaking needles does just kind of happen every now and then, I think. Oop. I feel like it's definitely a bag thing. So then I take off the presser foot. So you just pop this in a bit. Okay, and now you need to just make sure that it all comes out in one nice, neat go. Oh, you really got it in there. Right.
Gotcha. Where does it come out first?
Okay, so we're just going to change the needle over. Yeah, we were on a nice... It was the right size, but we'll go with that one. So, you know when you fit your needle dibs, the flat edge has to go at the back. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Okay, and press it.
Not sure. Brilliant. Sorry, carry on.
Make sure you raise your needle back up before you...
It was going too well for a minute.
Yeah, it was going well. Any EU supplier for hardware kit? Yeah, so Ariadna, I haven't got an EU like hardware kit yet. I'm working with somebody in, oh my goodness, I think it was Sweden, but it might have been Switzerland. I know it's terrible. I just
Gone to a blank.
Yeah, I've gone a total blank. But I'm working with somebody who is looking into doing Momexa hardware kits for me in the EU. It's just I've asked a lot of different people and they've all said no. So we're getting there. Somebody is looking into it and hopefully it's going to come about. Yeah, as Kira says, if you're using cotton and you want to, you can use a bit of Decaville light behind the rivets instead of you know putting them through foam. So if you're using Decaville, Tammy, you don't sew Decaville in. You fuse it, which you can do even with the rings. You can do it. You just got to take your time. But Decaville fuses in, which means it's not in the seam allowance, which is why people will prefer it. And a lot of people just prefer the way it sits. Okay. What's next? Right, next. We're on page 11, step 4. We're going to fit the foam to the side panels. Can I have the scissors, Debs? What we're going to do first, if you're using a domestic machine and you want to make life easier, oh, these are the sharp scissors.
Yeah, just down on the floor.
What you can do is just cut like the corner out. This doesn't have to be exact. What it means is when we are top stitching later, this isn't going to be like in the seam allowance where we're top stitching, but it's also not really going to affect like the structure of the bag. So I just do that. Okay, so you want to you can have one too, Devs. You want to clip your exterior sides to your exterior side foam. So get that all clipped together. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to base that foam side up with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance.
Let you finish that one. And the corners I don't need to worry about, do I?
Yeah, and the corners you can just kind of skip. If you just like jump from one corner to the next, hopefully you'll be able to see that as Debbie's doing it.
1/8 of an inch we're on, yeah.
1/8 of an inch, we're just basting it in place.
Yes, I seem to remember you just go over the corners, don't you?
I do, I just skip the corners, so I'll show you that in a minute. Right, I'll be right back.
Okay, so right, and what about the top bit? Because last time I had the full shape here.
Yep, so you can skip the top bit as well.
So just...
You can just sort of lift your presser foot and move it around, and then don't sew across the corner at the top. So just skip it, just pull it around like that, and then just sew across that a little bit, and then just lift your presser foot up again.
Go to this corner. Lovely.
There you go.
Oh, I lost my thread again.
Oh, I wonder if we need to sort out the tension after you're losing threads.
Although I think I managed to just almost get to the bottom there. I've run out of thread.
Oh, you've run out of thread, okay. Bottom drawer, there's some more white thread in there. So here you go. Live Sewalongs. Oh, realistic. Running out of thread, running out of bobbin. There you go. Yeah, I've got like loads of white and black.
So we've got bank holiday weekend here, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got bank holiday tomorrow. I assume that's just a UK thing. I'm assuming it's the whole of the UK. I'm not sure. I think there are different ones for like Scotland and Wales. But we get the day off tomorrow, sort of.
And then the kids are all on school holidays as well, so it feels like summer's coming on.
Yeah, but for a lot of you, it is already summer. Some places get really hot, don't they, around May. Oh, okay, we've got another question. Why does one prefer to cut out the foam after sewn in the seam allowance as opposed to zigzag stitching the foam full size? Is there a big difference? Yeah, so you notice probably that I quite often trim the foam out of my seam allowances. I don't think there's a massive difference. For top stitching, I much prefer to trim it out rather than using a zigzag stitch. Look at all those threads.
I thought I'll let you sort it out. Because you like to.
Yeah, but a zigzag stitch does work well. It works really well. I don't know why I prefer trimming it out, but I really do. I think for the top stitch, I feel like it makes it very slightly easier. I don't know how you've got so many threads, but I think it's just personal preference, to be honest. I think if you want a zigzag stitch, you can zigzag stitch. Okay, so you might be able to see that she just stitched up to there where the foam is, and then just basically lifted her presser foot, moved, and did this bit here. And then same here. So I'm just going to trim the threads out from the corners. Because the thing is, when you're sewing foam in, you're just basting it in. It's just a temporary stitch. It doesn't need to be like absolutely perfect. So that's why we're not worried about that. Okay, we're getting there, Debs. We're getting there. I put jack potatoes in the oven. I don't know if that's a British thing. Beforehand, so that we would not be worrying about dinner when we finished. So I'm looking forward to that.
Is that okay then?
Perfect. Thanks, Deb. Okay, so grab your 2 exterior sides. You need to measure 1.5 inches down from the top. So the top is the short edge. So you're measuring 1.5 inches down, and you need to make a 1 inch mark centered. There you go. Okay.
Well, we've got a holiday in the US too, Memorial Day.
Memorial
Love a day off.
I absolutely love a day off. Okay, so you've got your line drawn. That's 1.5 inches down, and it's a 1 inch line across the centre. Now grab your strap connectors from earlier, and we're going to now use some double-sided tape. If I can find it, there it is. More double-sided tape, and we're going to stick that on the wrong side of it so that we can stick this on the side. So this fold is going to go on the line. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew a box around here, and then we're going to do an X as well, just for some extra strength to really hold it in, because we want to make sure that this does not come off. Now, getting up here, a zipper foot some people like to use so they can get nice and close, but I much prefer using a hump jumper to lift up my presser foot. So, do you want to give that a go? I'm going to start from the bottom, come across here, and then as you come up here, I'll get the hump jumper for you.
And what seam allowance?
Using 1/8 of an inch.
Okay, yep, so I've come as far as I can go.
Okay, so now put your needle in and lift up your presser foot, and then I'll just put this. This is a hump jumper. So what we're going to do is stick it underneath the back of the foot, and then when you put the presser, remember to put the presser foot back down, because otherwise you'll have problems. And now you want to go, just crank it by hand, don't put your foot down, and just get as close as you can to the rectangle ring.
Would that be, do you think that's the furthest?
Yep, that looks good. Okay, so now you lift up your presser foot and turn it around. And you now need to have the hump jumper down the edge of the foot to like lift it up to balance it out with the other edge. And then you just want to hand crank it again. I love to hand crank these bits because I feel like it's just too risky sewing it. If I hand crank, I can just take my time. It's only going to take 10 seconds. And you're just sewing along the edge of that rectangle ring.
And then just where I need to put it in front.
Yep, and now you've got to put the hump jumper in front as you come back down to level out the presser foot. And this is where I love hump jumpers, because they've got that little cut out edge that allows you to like come towards it.
Is that it?
Yep, that's good. Yeah. So now you need to come back down, and then we need to do an X.
Okay, so
you want to swivel it around so that you can come up here. Yep, do a diagonal. So when I first did this pattern, I didn't put an X in, but recently I like to add like as much strength. Oh, remember to put your needle down before you put the hump jumper under. Yep. Now you can lift up your presser foot.
Like that one? Like that?
Perfect, yeah. But nowadays, yeah, I like to put like an X through everything. Even if I'm adding rivets, I find that my strap connector needs just all the help it can get. I just want it to be really secure.
I think I forgot to put my thingy down in the first place. Right. Where's my thing?
Oh, did you not put your presser foot down?
No, I forgot to put my presser foot down, but now I'm ready to move.
Okay, well, we'll see how this goes.
And then which direction do I want to go in?
Now you want to come across the top again, and then do the other diagonal side of your X.
Okay, so what was going on? So proper learner here.
No, it's good because there'll be lots. I assume that Debbie's not the only one that's not used a hump jumper before.
Or done it really any sewing.
Yeah. Who's thinking about doing this as their first bag? Let us know if this would be your very first bag.
Is that correct?
Yep, yeah, you're doing good, yeah. There you go. Just make sure that you're... Just take your time on it, basically.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, my X on the other side isn't perfect, but... Yeah.
That, again, is why we're using matching thread, so that if it's not perfect, no one will see it.
Okay. Right.
Okay, backstitch. Whew. Almost missed it. Almost. Oh dear.
Right. Okie dokie.
Okay. Right, so now we need to do the second one. Sorry, I should have had this all stuck up and ready for you. I've just been watching you, watching you do all the hard work. So do you want to just lift that up and show everybody what it looks like?
Well, it's a bit of a dodgy X, so I'll try and do better next time.
But I'm betting that you can't see it because it's matching threads, so I think it'll be absolutely fine. Let's get rid of these threads. Okay. Right, so I've got the next one stuck on. You should sew the same thing with that one, Debs. Take your time, don't rush it. And if you ever do something that you really don't like, you know, like if you're really not happy with your X or whatever, you can always seam rip it off and redo it because you can just cut out another strap connector quite easily. Somebody, it was Hazel, was it you? Yeah, I think you're watching, aren't you? Somebody has done like strap connectors that come all the way down to the bottom, and they look really cool. Like come across the whole thing. I really like the look of that. I think it was Hazel. Teresa says her husband managed to rescue the screen shaking. So I'm wondering if the screen shaking is on my end. I'm not having the best time with technology today. I don't enjoy technology. This would be a great first bag. It is. It's not easy, but it's. I suppose you just have to take your time, and you learn a lot of things that are good for bag making. So yeah.
And if you've got Joe walking you through it, that helps.
Karen says she started on a way more advanced bag than you were ready for. And I was ready for this one, would have pumped me up for more sewing for sure. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, so I'm just going to look at what we've got left to go. Can you tell I'm getting hungry? Dinner is calling me. Okay, so we've got much left to go actually on this exterior. I've skipped the tassel. We'll do that next week. We'll do that in the lining. I'm pretty sure the lining is going to be a lot quicker, although we've got to like top stitch and stuff, so I'm not sure.
Hopefully nobody saw that.
What happened, Deb?
Just me making mistakes.
It's okay.
Right, so I've got down here, so now I need to do my X.
Yeah, now you want to do your X. Right, I'm just checking that I've not missed anything.
If you're nervous about doing this, then you know, I should make you feel better.
Yeah, don't worry if you're nervous about making a bag.
Just watch all my mistakes, and it'll be
alright. That's what I love about
bag.
Watching others do their YouTube videos. You know, like I feel like my tutorials, like if I've made a mistake, I'll cut it out because I don't want it to confuse. I don't want to do it wrong and then say, oh, that's wrong. This is actually how you do it. I just want to get it right so that it's not confusing to watch. But I actually really like watching YouTubers who show you their mistakes. It's really nice to know and really easy to like learn from them. Maybe I should do that. I'm not sure. Okay, let's have a look what we need to do next. Okay, we're all ready for that. Okay, I've got a few questions coming through. Oh, so Karen says that she's doing the long strap connector where it comes all the way down on the Momexa, which would look really cool as well.
Do we this one?
I do like that.
That one's supposed to be there, isn't it? But it was...
Make sure your presser foot's down there. That's, yeah. Perfect, yeah. You want it in front.
Oh, it's just need to hold it.
Right, let me have a look at these. If you do the straps all the way down, what about the thickness in the base seam? Yeah, there will be some thickness going on. It would add maybe 2 extra layers. So yeah, you need to be cautious of that. I think it would be doable with this, even on my domestic machine. But yeah, you'd have to be cautious. What you could do is trim a little bit of foam out at the bottom of here, just so that when you're sewing in, it's not quite so tough. Sometimes I do that.
I slightly need to Rex.
Ta-da! Right, let's have a look. Next thing that we need to do is we need to sew these into place. So, with my exterior right side up, I'm going to place this right sides together and grab some clips. You just want to make sure that it matches nice and neatly up here. When you're clipping this on, it'll kind of look wrong because this pokes up. But that's just the shape that you're working with. Just make sure that it matches on this corner here. Just make sure this corner matches. Also, you might want to just fold your rings out of the way because we're going to be sewing close to those.
Oh, thanks, Diana. You're making me feel better.
What'd you say on the thing?
Well, she said she's finished 2 of these and she's working on a 3rd. Great pattern. Debbie's doing a wonderful job.
Aww.
Thank you, because I feel like I'm butchering this bag.
You're really not. Okay, so you want to sew this with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, but because we're getting a little bit close to the rectangle ring, I would move my needle over, and then you can sew it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance instead, which means your presser foot can slip past the rectangle ring even easier.
So, is this right?
So you're lining it up with the edge of the presser foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to backstitch first.
Yes, but make sure that you backstitch well, all the way to where the little cutout is. So these pieces have these little cutouts just here. You're sewing right now from the cutout up to the top with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Deb's doing a great job. You are doing a great job.
I'm hoping that's not my bobbin thread that's just coming through there, is it?
It looks like you're okay.
Hang on, there's something there. What's that one?
Yeah, Karen, that's a good idea. If you were doing strap connectors all the way down, you could do them in cotton, so there's not as much bulk. That'd be a good idea. Lots of ways to reduce bulk when you need to, but I think they look really cool. I'm pretty sure it was Hazel. I'm guessing she's not on that here now. That did it. She did it with 2 Momexas. She also did 2 Momexas without the rings on the front, and they look really cool. Really good.
Am I just going to the end?
Yep, you're going to the end and make sure you backstitch at the end.
Right, just here. Okay.
Okay, we're going to do the same on this side. Clip this one in, fold that rectangle ring out of the way. Ooh, I feel like this is a big pressure on you, Debs. I'm just sewing live on your second bag. Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. I think everything's gone wrong that could go wrong.
This is true. So you're sewing that on with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, but again, because we moved the needle over, you can just use the edge of the presser foot. Oh, don't forget to backstitch.
Yeah, I actually remember that time.
So I love a needle that moves on a machine because I don't know if it does it on every machine, but it just means that when you are doing something like this, where the rectangle ring's quite close to the edge, you can have your presser foot further over and move your needle. So you've got the correct seam allowance, but it feels like you're sewing with less. It's nice. Ah, Debs, you're doing great. Everybody says you're doing great. It's going to be gorgeous. Oh, hello. We've got Puerto Rico. We've got a really nice international group. Yeah, you're doing good, Debs. You're doing good.
Bit wrong a bit there.
Don't forget to backstitch at the end. bit's a little bit scary because you feel like, oh, can I have those nice sharp scissors? Thanks. I'm glad we found the sharp scissors. You want a nice sharp pair of scissors. Where your cutout is, where this is, just here, you're going to snip into the main panel. Okay, just up as far as that cutout is, which will be 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I've just snipped there, just up to that cutout. We're going to do the same on the other side. Now you shouldn't be cutting through your stitching because your stitching should be finishing right on that cutout piece. So you should be just cutting below that. Now I'm going to fold it up and clip the other side.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Good job, I've got you to show me.
I had a couple of people on Facebook that used to help me when I was learning, and that was really good. So good having somebody to help. Okay, so where the cutout ends on this side, you're now going to cut in as well. Where's my... There we go. So sharp pair of scissors is essential. You're just cutting in up to the cutout. And then once you've done that, it will mean that your base will fit. We're not going to do that yet, but that's why we're doing it. Okay, so clip the other side together whilst you're at it, because we might as well sew both sides on at the same time. I'm just thinking, I think it's going to be easier sewing it with the side panel up. Oh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
I remember this bit being tough last time because there's so much bulk.
Yeah, this is where it does feel like it's a bit bulky. Okay, so you're going to sew each of those sides with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And again, don't forget to backstitch.
Great. Okay.
Oh, thanks Nicole. She says don't forget to thumbs up the video so others can find the other amazing videos. Thank you. That's really nice. Yeah, I think it does really help when you thumbs up. I think we can be our own worst critic. Debbie, you're doing a fantastic job, especially as you have a worldwide audience. You do.
Yeah.
You've got people from everywhere.
Worldwide.
Now, are you using the right seam allowance? That's the only thing.
Yep, so I've got it to the left and I'm on the footer edge.
Brilliant.
Edge of the, you know what I mean.
So if you use the wrong seam allowance, most things can be rectified. Most of the time you can make it work. You just need to fix something else. So when you make mistakes, don't give up on a bag. It just means that you're going to have to maybe make other adjustments to make it work. So if you use too big of a seam allowance on the exterior, then make sure you use too big of a seam allowance on the lining, and vice versa if you use too small of a seam allowance. So most of the time, most things are fixable. And when you get to this end point, don't be afraid to just crush the bag so that you can get it through at the end. Your bag will, pop back up afterwards. Okay, so the second side. Deb, we're almost there, we're on the home front. Dinner is waiting.
And a glass of wine?
And maybe a glass of wine, yeah.
It's a bit too early for some places.
Right, I'm just checking what we've got to do next. The base. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right, I'll transition you over so that you can actually see Debbie sewing.
So I'm finding I have to hand crank over these chunky bits.
Oh, so you're hand cranking where the strap connectors are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just too thick otherwise.
So what you might also want to do when you're doing these sides and everything is do a second seam, like inside the seam allowance, just inside it. And it can like strengthen the seam. So if you, when you turn out the bag, sometimes like your stitches can show. So to avoid that, I sometimes do a second line of stitching. It just strengthens the seam and stops it from like showing under stress. So that is something else that you could consider doing. Also, make sure you're using a matching thread, a thread that matches your exterior, because then if it does show just a tiny bit, then you won't be able to see it. Whereas if you've got like a white exterior and black thread, you are going to be able to see those stitches if the bag's ever under stress, and you don't want that. So grab your base, and it should fit perfectly, should being the key word here, see if it's going to fit, to the bottom of this side panel, now that you've cut it. Okay, so you're just going to clip that together. If they don't match absolutely perfectly, not the end of the world, just make sure it's centered. That would be my main concern. Right. I'll clip the other side together as well, so you're literally just matching up the bottom of that side panel to the base. So the only reason we can do this is because we snipped in. If you didn't snip in earlier, then you're not going to be able to make this fit. Now we're going to sew through that with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance again. So all of this exterior stuff, we're doing 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And personally, I think it's easier having it this way up, and you just kind of crush it out the way and sew through it. So 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, make sure you backstitch. It's 11:30 in the afternoon. Nicole's like, why are you guys hungry?
In the morning.
It's 20 to 8 in the evening, so we haven't had dinner yet. Here in the UK, yeah, it's 20 to 8. Definitely time for dinner.
Plus, we're just hungry people, aren't we?
Yeah, you know.
Who can sympathise?
We've got appetites. And if you're doing like the double seam, like you're doing a second seam in the seam allowance, do the same here when you're doing these bases. Brilliant. Okay, so we've not got much left to do. Like, we really haven't got much left to do. So one thing that I would suggest, if you've been using like a heat erasable pen like me, is to just put some heat on this slot to get rid of all the marks. So I'll do that at the end because the iron is off camera. So there's just one last thing that I think we should do on the exterior. This is optional really, but if you just try it, if you've never tried it before, just try it once, see what you think when you do your top stitching. What I do is I butterfly open these seams and I actually baste them open now. And then when I do my top stitching later, it's so much easier because they're not, like if you get them slightly folded over when you're top stitching later on, like the whole bag, then you will really notice it because it adds like a couple of extra layers in there. So I literally just sew these open now. So you're just using, you're going to want to take this off, and you're just using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Oh, there's loads of bits there. Okay, so it doesn't need to be pretty, you're just basting it open. Oh. Base 2 Solutions, watching you from tomorrow here. Are you in Australia? Are you a day ahead of us? I always find that pretty cool. Okay, so you're just basting these seams open. This just makes it very slightly easier. So, we're pretty much done here. If you've got any questions, let me know now. But next week, we will be doing the lining and finishing off the bag and the tassel because we skipped that this week. So we'll be doing all of that next week.
Hopefully with a few less technical issues.
Yeah, and hopefully the sound will work and the cameras will work. And hopefully it'll go really smoothly. I'm not making any guarantees though. But yeah, if you've got any questions about this week or next week, just let me know now. Next week's going to be the same time, 5 p.m. UK time, which I think is like 12 o'clock in New York, if that gives you any idea of other time zones. So that's going to be next Sunday. So you're doing the last one there, Debs?
Yep. Oh, so next week we'll have a bag.
Yeah, next week we will actually have a bag.
Right, there we go.
Okay, so what I like to do is just check inside that there's no, you know, basting stitches showing or anything, like maybe on the base, that there's no obvious errors, no big problems. I don't turn it out yet because I don't want to turn my bag too many times, and we're going to put the lining in it later, so, or next week, so I'm going to leave it as it is. Debbie and your long threads, they're everywhere.
Don't feel like the only one that does that.
Okay, so I'm just going to have a good look at it, and then what I'm going to do is take it over to the iron and just remove all the marks. And what you can do is do a bit of heat from the foam side, and then you don't have to worry about the hardware. But you can get around the hardware with an iron, it's not a problem. So I'm just going to take all my pen marks off using the iron. So guys, that is it for this week. No more questions coming in, so that's good. So I think we're done for this week. Next week we're going to do the lining. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of like supply recommendations and that sort of thing this week, but I will send out what we have had in the email blast. So if you aren't on the Momexa Sewalong email, you can join by, how can you join? You can go to the Facebook events and you can look at the events and you can join through there. Or you can email me, or you can go on Instagram and there's a link in my profile. So I'll send out an email to everybody afterwards just saying, like recapping where I get my double-sided tape from and that sort of thing, and we can get hardware kits for the Momexa in the UK, USA and Australia. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, and it's looking really
It is looking
cute
really cool.
inside.
I'm not going to turn it out because I really don't like turning bags out more than once. But yes, I love that. Trees is like, you deserve your dinner and a glass of wine.
Thank
I am
you.
so looking forward to that. So we'll see you guys next week. If you've got any questions in the meantime, just email me, countrycowdesigns@gmail.com. Thank you so much, everyone.